Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. Happy Monday, my dudes and dudettes. It is spectacular to be with you one more time again. How was your weekend? Everybody good? Everybody set? Everybody ready to rock and roll? I very much hope so. Hope you had a spectacular weekend. I did not stop at all. Like at all. Hosted a little show on Friday, hosted a show Saturday morning, went to a show Saturday night, hosted a show Sunday morning, did a little Greenville Triumph footy yesterday afternoon. Fiance got home at 2:15 this morning from a flight in. Who needs sleep? Am I right? Who? Hi, Lonzo. How's it going, buddy? How was your weekend?
It was a fun time of doing absolutely nothing.
I have to apologize because I said I hosted a show on Saturday. That is not true
No,
at all.
you did.
I guested a show on Saturday.
No, you did host a show.
No, I didn't. I didn't do a damn thing. Saturday
afternoon, you hosted a show, right? Bet for the Cycle.
Oh yeah.
And then you come and hung out with us.
Did that, and then I came in and sat in on the Upstate Pulse and made very thinly veiled innuendos with an Irishman on the radio for 2 hours, just to gauge how uncomfortable we can make Lonzo. And I would say slightly. I think we got to slightly.
It was a little mild compared to what it normally is.
Oh, well, that's disappointing.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'll just have to come back and try harder.
Well, I mean, I'm not talking about you. I mean, you were trying to gauge it, but I've been having to fight it every week since he's been here. So, I mean, not that that's a bad thing.
Not at all.
I mean, shows change, they evolve, and sometimes you have to be on your guard a little bit or a lot.
Probably for the best. We got a show lined up today, ladies and gentlemen. This is about to be a very interesting time in sports talk radio, because I and millions of other hosts around the country, there's not millions, there's, I don't know, what do you say, probably maybe thousands. Are you
going to include the AI ones?
So far, as I am aware, we have not reached AI sports talk host yet.
No, but we do have
an AI disc jockey right now.
Probably multiple. Probably more than you know.
There's one that I know for a fact, and I read about this a couple of weeks ago. I actually meant to bring this up on the air to you, as a matter of fact. They have one who works for a syndicated radio company that they had a young lady who was DJing, and they asked her to voice the AI, basically just record all the words, and then they were going to turn her voice to an AI.
We've talked about it here.
Have we?
Yeah, we have.
I didn't think we had.
Yeah, we have.
So they're using her voice as an AI, and now this company is starting to syndicate that show, and they are firing people to utilize this AI as a genuine DJ. And if you listen to it for like 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds, you probably would be like, oh, that's a person. And then every now and then there's just like that one inflection that throws you off a little bit, walks you into the uncanny valley. And it's really, there's clips of her going around on the internet, and it's really off-putting. But so far, I'm gonna say ain't no robot replacing Lonzo and me. All right? Ain't no robot out there taking down the 2-time SCBA Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year.
Cole and Diesel are trying to get their jobs taken. I mean, they're taking advantage of AI and making fun of each other with it and using each other's voice with the AI. I don't think they've really thought it through. I really don't.
All right. let's get to it. The reason I say that, we are about to enter a very interesting time in sports radio, is because we are inside of a couple of weeks away from the conclusion of the season of the National Basketball Association. That finals series tips on Thursday evening. And we are inside of a couple of weeks away from the conclusion of the National Hockey League's 2024 season, because the Stanley Cup Finals begins on Saturday. We now know our teams. The Edmonton Oilers knocked off the Dallas Stars yesterday evening, sent them back to the Big D, and I do mean Dallas. The Florida Panthers on Saturday evening took down the New York Rangers, and they will be moving to the Stanley Cup Finals. So Edmonton to represent the West, Florida to represent the East. Panthers open, by the way, as a minus 125 favorite to win that series. We'll talk about that over in the NBA. Again, as we mentioned, Thursday night, we get game one. The Beantown Celtics playing host to Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks in game number one on Thursday. And then in 2 weeks from today, we will either be done with those two series or very close to done with those two series. And when we are done with those two series, we enter a very interesting part of the calendar for people like me. Now, this year's a little bit different because we do have the Summer Olympics coming up in July.
Yeah, we're going to see more and more of the trials and all that kind of stuff.
Sure are
showing up because we just did over the weekend, I believe.
Simone Biles picked up her 9th U.S. championship this weekend. She becomes, if I recall correctly, the most decorated gymnast outside of the Olympics. You add in the Olympics, it just piles on even further. But yes, we have started to see the trials and the competitions out there. Simone Biles had herself a big weekend and looks like she is preparing to return to dominance. And I hope she does. One of my favorite athletes in the Olympic Games history. So it is a little bit different in that we have the Olympics, and obviously we'll have basketball and soccer and gymnastics and swimming, and one of Alonzo's very favorite, synchronized swimming. He'll be an expert on the synchronized swimming for us.
You can diss the synchronized swimming, but it's very difficult to be in sync with anyone. You can hear that every morning on this show. Sometimes we're down, sometimes we're not. All right. Those guys, those girls have to be perfect.
Is there dudes synchronized swimming?
Only on Saturday Night Live.
Fair.
And you should look it up. They only did it once, but it was good.
So we got the Olympics, but for the overwhelming majority of the summertime, all we have is baseball until we get to August, right? Until we get to August and we start getting football camps and we start getting predictions and prognostications and whatnot, all of which we will continue to do on this show. But we have a handful of months where it's just baseball, which, by the way, I need you all to listen to the Bet for the Cycle every single Saturday from noon to 4 on the BetQL network so that I can keep getting paid for it.
Sure. Plug your show in the middle of me making fun of it, so I feel bad, so I have to kill the crickets.
Yeah, you got it. Nailed it. Soon as I heard him, I'm like, oh, I got this. I know exactly what I'm going to do here. Any hoodles. The part of the schedule that is very interesting to me because I am curious. And I mean, we do this every year, but hey, demographics change. The listening audience changes. Things change. So my question, as we are now again 2 weeks away from the beginning of 2 weeks away from the end of the NBA and the NHL season, and we enter a large part of June, July, with the exception of the Olympics, and early August, where all there is baseball. And yes, I could absolutely do 4 hours of baseball talk every day up in this B, if that's what we wanted to do. I suspect it's not. But if you are in charge, how do you handle that? If you are in charge, what's your thoughts on the way to organize a show when we have baseball in the Olympics and not much else? We'll have soccer, we'll have international footy throughout the course of the season. You know, obviously we're going to talk some USMNT and USWNNT up in here as we head to the Olympics. Got Copa America coming up here in the next handful of weeks. Like, what is your balance? Now, I know last year in the offseason and in the run-up to baseball season, you guys at one point told me that during the heavy part of the season, specifically in the 5-6 weeks leading up to opening day of Major League Baseball, that you would want to keep it somewhere to the tune of like 3 baseball segments a week. What about during the run where baseball is all there is? Because I've told y'all in the past that as far as the way that I like to do a show, the way I like to handle the show, I like to talk about what is happening in sports. I don't feel the need, and this is just me, and not every show is for everybody. Some shows aren't for anybody. But to me, I would rather talk about the things that are going on or talk to the people that are involved with them, right?
Why don't we do 32 OTA reports?
We're probably going to.
One per day.
We're probably going to. We're gonna talk a lot of OTAs. Again, but the reason we're talking OTAs is because they're happening. They're going on, right? Again, I'm not saying it's bad. But I'm not a guy that necessarily wants to come in here and start giving lengthy predictions and prognostications on what's going to happen in week 7 of the college season next year when your favorite school takes on a directional university. Like, we've actually got stuff happening. And as Alonzo and I have both pointed out, we're sports guys. So I want to talk about sports. I want to talk baseball. I want to talk soccer. I want to talk basketball. I want to talk hockey. But when those things are over, and all we have is baseball, what do you want? Tell me what you want. How do you want me to handle the show? So we're going to talk about that a little bit more in depth later on. Texas says Charlotte beat Atlanta yesterday. Yes, they did. Courtesy of an Atlanta own goal. Charlotte was down 1-0 in that game. Atlanta, seconds later, seeded the own goal. And then CFC went with the finish. Manager Dean Smith, of course, father of Jamie Smith, who plays right here for the Greenville Triumph. We can break down a little Charlotte v. Atlanta MLS action if you'd like. That's another thing. Like, with the sports that aren't necessarily wildly popular, can I dabble in MLS? Is that okay? Can I get into some MLS? Can we get into some, can I do more WNBA on the show? I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, we are going to do a WNBA segment today. Maybe 2. And we're going to do a WNBA segment today because there's a bit of a, is it fair to say, controversy surrounding Caitlin Clark right now?
No, it's exactly what I said it would be.
Lonzo predicted a handful of weeks ago that the competitors in the WNBA, and I'm going to quote him, are going to beat the out of Caitlin Clark.
It's not what I said, but yeah, I mean.
It's the right quote.
I believe you're paraphrasing.
Slightly. And he nailed it. She took a stiff shoulder charge on Saturday. And
she got hit by a sturdy girl.
Old Kennedy was not playing around in that moment.
That shoulder had some beef to it.
Yeah, and you know that because when they turned the camera around and showed it from the angle of Kennedy Carter coming at Caitlin, you can very clearly read her lips when she looked at Caitlin Clark and said, "You," and then just pow with the shoulder charge. Caitlin Clark goes to the ground. They called it a common foul. In time, the WNBA would go back and they would upgrade that to a flagrant foul because it there was
an outcry by people who are paying attention, so they had to go back and fix it to save face.
I mean, dude, it was a flagrant foul. I think it was because it was a flagrant
without
foul.
a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, she looked her in the eyes and said, "You," and then shoulder charged her like she owed her money. And now there is this, at least in the social media circle, there's a bit of a controversy that is going around right now. There's a bit of a controversy going around because there are players that are absolutely giving it to Caitlin Clark right now, on one hand. And then on the other hand, there are longtime fans of this league who were like, "Oh, well, if you weren't talking about the WNBA before, don't come in here just because." And I'm like, that kind of don't you want that to happen? The league's finally making more money. Like, what are we doing here?
They're not being very smart. They really aren't. From a business standpoint, you should enjoy all the eyes on the product and go, "Hey, here's what you've been missing." Not that, "Oh, you guys are all paying attention to her. Well, she ain't going to make it through the season. Now what you going to do?" Well, what they're going to do is they're going to stop watching. Good job.
Are going to talk about that coming up later in the show because I am genuinely curious as to what the overwhelming reaction is going to be. So we'll get to that. We're going to talk some baseball. The Clemson Tigers win their regional. Now they wait today for the winner of the Stillwater Regional, which will be either the Oklahoma State Cowpokes or the Mighty Mighty Gators of the University of Florida. The winner of that regional will be coming down to Clemson. The Carolina Gamecocks are not waiting on anybody because they got bounced. They're going home. They're done. And so my question for you Gamecock fans, is that enough to pull the trigger on moving on from Kingston? Or are you happy to keep him around for one more year after a run to the regional and yet another season without a visit to Omaha, Nebraska? We'll talk some baseball later in the show. We got John Blau with the Post and Courier coming up at 8:40 this a.m. It's going to be busy. I hope you'll join us at 844-326-3663 or text us at 71307. Start your text with FAN. We'll read them on the air. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Chris William Wynn, what's up, bro? You say interesting, Rob. I say boring, bro, in about 2 weeks. All right, so Chris, you are PR right now. You are programming director for the Fan Upstate. I will even say you are temporarily the PD specifically for the Rob Brown Show. What's not boring? What do you want me to get to? Are you one of these dudes? And I know that sounds a certain way. I don't mean it to. But are you one of these dudes that, like, when we get into July and there's just nothing going on in football, that wants me to start doing, like, football breakdowns? Like, do you want to talk college football in July when nothing is happening?
No, I got it. Vacation and camping tips because,
Talk some fishing?
There you go.
Talk some fishing on the show.
There you go. It's seasonal, and it's that season, right?
And yes, we are going to, Chris William Wynn, talk a little WNBA today, not because of the game, because yes, Caitlin Clark got dragged. Not just did they lose by 40, but she had her worst shooting performance in 151 college and pro games, 1 for 10 from the floor, 3 points on the day. It was not good. But as Lance has pointed out, she's getting the hell beat out of her right now. It's going to wear on her a little bit. And my question is this something the WNBA needs to solve, or do they just need to let it police itself? Oh, you better believe we're talking about that, Zach. I haven't ruled out taking a couple of days off of work when that game drops.
Please.
I'm not doing that. I actually am not going to be able to buy it because I can't afford the new console till I get married. Might start a GoFundMe to get an Xbox.
We can talk about water skiing, the proper methods, 2 skis, 1 ski, all that kind of stuff.
It depends on you. If you're slaloming, 1 ski's the way to go. But if you're recreational water skiing, 2 skis.
How to properly boogie board. I mean, that's
step 1, be 13.
Well, no, it's very important for older guys like myself to go to the beach and think, wow, that looks like fun.
Are you a boogie boarder?
I tried it like a decade ago. It was more like a wave boarding, just going out with the little board, just jumping waves. You're laughing, but you were born on the beach. I was born on the land. Okay.
On the land.
I was born in the valley, technically, the Ohio Valley. Our beach was Deer Creek, and it was basically a small river. The water was very, very brown. Come on, you didn't see that coming, Zach.
Thursday night begins the 2024 National Basketball Association World Championship Finals. You have from the East the 1-seeded Boston Celtics. You have from the West the 5th-seeded Dallas Mavericks. Yesterday. Was yesterday Sunday? It was. Yesterday.
I just checked the calendar. Yesterday was Sunday.
Thank you. That is why he is the executive producer. Yesterday, I got the call. I got asked to fill in on the 5-Star Weekend program on the BetQL Network alongside Sean Marash, who is, you guys that may remember the morning show that was in this slot before this one.
Oops.
That's the guy. Sean Marash was the producer of that show. He now has his own show up at NYC. He also hosts the Sunday morning show on BetQL, and they asked me to fill in. And, of course, I said yes because, as Lonzo can attest, if there's one thing Rob Brown never does, it's turn down a job. So I sat in, and we got to talking about the NBA Finals and making our picks and predictions and prognostications and projections for said NBA Finals. And up came the conversation about the Boston Celtics. And the conversation was multifold, had a lot of different aspects to it. Question number 1 that got brought up, and I think it's a fair question. Question number 1, right now, today, this second, you have an option. I am going to ask you to win a 5-game series. Let's say 7-game series, because that's how long the series are. I'm going to ask you to win a 7-game series. Would you prefer that your team be led by, and forget the other 3, I'm going to give you 2 duos. Would you prefer your team be led by any 2 of Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Derek White? Or would you prefer your team be led by Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving this year? Where do you fall on that? You can have either Luka and Kyrie, or you can have Jason and Jaylen, or Jaylen and Derek, or Jason and Derek. Your pick of any duo of those out of those 3. If I ask you to pick a duo, and we'll build the rest of the team out after you pick your 2, which 2 are you going with? What's the combo? I went back and forth with Marash about this. And I said, I think I've got to go with Luka and Kyrie. And he said, I'm going Jason and Jaylen Brown. And I said, why? And he goes, they as a duo are more talented than Kyrie and Luka as a duo. And then we ranked those players. And the one thing that we agreed on.
Wait. How are they more talented?
Cumulatively between the two, we landed on Luka Doncic is the best player in these NBA finals. I don't think anybody's pushing back on that. And scratch that. There actually were some people who pushed back and said Jason Tatum is more talented than Luka Doncic. I think, honestly, he's more athletic than Luka Doncic, but I don't think he's more talented than Luka Doncic. So we said, however, or Marash said, however, that of those four, that Kyrie Irving is the fourth most talented. So we said the rankings would go Luka 1, Tatum 2, Brown 3, Irving 4. So you've got 1 and 4 versus 2 and 3. And to be honest with you, I actually don't think that's wrong. I don't think that's wrong. I think Luka Doncic is the best player in the NBA Finals. But I also think that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are nipping on his heels, and I think Kyrie Irving brings up the rear as the fourth best in that quad. Now, I also brought up the fact that on this show, we have been pointing out for months now, at least weeks, that Kyrie Irving is a better version of himself this year. He's a better version of himself this year. He's a version of himself this year that I think has accepted the role of supplemental player. He has accepted the role of Robin to Luka's Batman. So I present a question to you that I asked of Sean yesterday. And the producers in the background kind of got into a bit of a fight, a bit of a debate about this as well. The question mark was, is this a lesson that Kyrie Irving learned from his time with the Nets? Because obviously you go back in time, the Nets tried to do a thing. The Nets put together a big three of Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant. And it, let's just call it what it is, imploded on them.
Well, the problem with that example is how often were those three on the court together?
Very rarely.
Yeah. So, I mean, I believe that Kyrie's had stints at a couple other places, and he realized when he was with LeBron, he was trying to fight for the spotlight. Because he was still young and he wanted to prove that he could hang, and it was his team before LeBron went there, and he didn't like being second. And now as he's gotten older, he's realized that this is the only way he's going to win.
I think that's accurate. And I'm glad you brought that up, because the theme of this conversation to me is competitiveness, right? It's being a competitor. And when you're right, when Kyrie and LeBron shared a team together, Kyrie was a much younger player. He's a much better player. Not that he is bad now. He's clearly not. He put up 36 in the elimination game against the Minnesota Timberwolves, a Timberwolves team that had just knocked off the reigning defending undisputed NBA world champion Denver Nuggets, and he went out there in an elimination game and put up 36. He's still a great player. But obviously the time that he spent alongside LeBron, he was much younger. He was a different dude back then. Then he goes and he skips around a little bit. He ends up with the Nets. The Nets disaster. Yeah, they didn't play together a lot, but even when they did, the Nets were just bad, to the point that they effectively just let James Harden walk. I know they got, what was the name of the guy they got back? I don't even think he's played since they got him. The kid they brought up to replace Harden, who hasn't done anything except be hurt the whole time. He's been so unimpactful, I can't even remember who the hell it was. But they blew that whole thing up, and I agree with you. I think Kyrie got down to Dallas. Now, Sean brought up another interesting point, and I think it's a point worth discussing, and that is about the demographic of the team that Kyrie plays for, right? Sean, who lives in New York and covers Northeastern sports predominantly, Sean Marash said, hey, look, when you are in Boston, he said, Rob Brown, don't take this the wrong way. You unless you live here and work in the media here, I don't think you can understand it fully.
Hey, you just don't get it.
I mean, basically, it's what he said.
That's such an arrogant take.
I don't think it is. I think it's okay to say you're not familiar enough to not get it.
Regionalism really bothers me.
I understand, but regionalism is regionalism because there are regions that have their own culture and approach and whatever.
Just because you think your region is better than every other region doesn't mean it is.
What's it like to grow up on the beach? You don't know, and that's okay, right? Being ignorant of a fact of life is okay. There's nothing wrong with it, right? It's one thing. Now, it is different to go, you're an idiot.
Ignorant, I was just poor.
See, this is the problem. People think ignorant is bad. Ignorant's not bad. Willfully ignorant is bad. Actively avoiding learning a thing is bad.
I don't care. I don't want to know about that.
Right. That's willfully ignorant. And even in that case, like there are some aspects of that that's okay. I am happy to be willfully ignorant of what it feels like to do black tar heroin. I'm ignorant of it and I'm willing to stay there.
Wait, where did that example
I needed something very dramatic.
Dude,
I needed something very dramatic.
I don't even think I've ever heard of that before. That sounds pretty hard, though.
Yeah, like I said, what's it like to grow up in Florida, right? So that's a joke. Relax, Florida. I love you. So Sean Marash said, hey, listen, unless you're up here, you can't understand. And I said, okay, fire away. And he said, in places like Boston, in places like New York, there is a phenomenon that happens that he said, I think it happens nationally, but I don't think you can really understand what it's like in the Northeast until you're here.
Well, it's two separate phenomenons. In Boston, it's about winning. In New York, it's about losing.
So the phenomenon that he was talking about had nothing to do with basketball or sports. He said one of the things that happens in Boston, New York, he said it probably happens in LA and Chicago, but it's different in the Northeast. He said is people go to these players and they probe and they poke and they prod and they try to get them to say something that they can then turn into a controversy. And I said, well, I think that happens everywhere. And he goes, yeah, but like it's very dialed in here. He said, here's the thing. He said, when did Kyrie and his flat earth stuff really come into the limelight? Not until he got to the Northeast, right? Not until he was a Boston guy, not until he was a net. And that's really where it popped, really where it started becoming the conversation about Kyrie.
Ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
I don't think it's ridiculous at all.
He was a top draft pick. He won an NBA championship. He was definitely in the limelight while playing with LeBron.
I didn't say in the limelight.
I think you did.
I said, when did the flat earth Kyrie's a weirdo stuff start?
Okay.
Right?
All right.
And that didn't start until he was in New England. I agree with you. When he was with LeBron and he was a top pick and all that in Cleveland, like, yeah, he was a big deal. But all the flat earth stuff all the weirdo stuff, all the podcast stuff didn't pop off till he got to New England. He said that is a result of the media. They want to be able to tear down the athletes that play for their own teams, and it's wild. He said, then you go down to Dallas. And he said, I don't want to make it a political thing, but obviously in Dallas, it's a much more conservative fan base that gives a hell of a lot less of a care about the opinion of an athlete. They just want you to be a great athlete. Whereas in New England, they care about the opinion because they want to turn it into a story. He said, Kyrie going down there, getting away from the media spotlight, ending up around a fan base that's not going to blow up his weirdo-ness, I think has allowed him to dial in on basketball. And I agree with that. And it is part of the reason that I'm actually having a really tough time, maybe not throwing a little bit of change down at the Dallas Mavericks to pull the upset in this series, because I think Luka's dialed in. My only question is, great one, does he bring a little bit of I want it back towards Boston? Does he overplay his hand trying to be the star to hurt the Boston Celtics, his former team? Because if he does, that's when I think Dallas gets in trouble. We'll talk more about this series as the week moves towards Thursday evening. Dallas and Boston, game number 1 of the NBA Finals. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
You know, Chris, you can use that in just about any sports now. Well, if that guy hadn't got hurt, if that guy hadn't done that, but he did. So, I mean, you know. And then Golden State realized the only way that they could beat LeBron again was to go and get that, I want to say scab, but bounty hunter. I don't know. A guy who can't lead a team on his own. Kevin Durant. That's his name. By the way, my ears still are not right. So if the beds are a little bit low or a little bit high, it's because I can't. I'm still struggling a little bit. I get it. He's back.
Jam Cam.
Jam Cam is back.
Jam Cam.
Welcome back, Billy.
From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate.
Are you worried that you may not be able to enjoy the summer as much as you want because of joint pain? It is the best time to be outdoors, but not if your knees or your shoulders or your backs or your hips are hurting, right? Hey, it's Rob Brown. Don't suffer any longer. Non-surgical joint pain relief is here at QC Kinetics. Call them right now. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. I am talking lasting joint pain relief.
So, did you get any further in the game? Were you able to free the island yet?
So I played for like 4 hours Saturday night after
I saw you were on there. Yeah.
And there was one spot where you have to sneak into, steal documents from, and not be detected, a truck depot.
Okay, this isn't the house on the hill, is it? Okay.
It's like a big truck depot.
Because that's the one where Cameron had to sneak in and steal documents, and Raven and I were blowing stuff up on the beach.
No. So this one, you could not do anything to be detected. That, like, you couldn't have your noise drone go off. You couldn't, and if they found a dead body, it reset you. Like, it took you 150 meters away to reset it. After about the 14th time, I just could not get it figured out. After about the 14th time, I finally got a guy that had his body kept being discovered, but the problem was there was like one hallway and he was looking down and you had to cross over right in front of him. And so the only way that you could do it was you had to pop out, cap him, and I kept popping out, capping him, and then moving on. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then eventually I found that there was another guy walking a circle on the inside, and he kept finding the body. So then I capped that guy, but then you have to wait for this other guy, and I timed it. This man took a 5-minute loop around and you had to wait for him to come around to pop him too. I was texting Mark Shelley while I'm sitting there just watching the mini map for his little red dot to come back around. I'm like, I'm bored. I can't do anything else. I've jumped back in, for those of you that are gamers in the audience, to Ghost Recon Badlands, and honestly, it's my favorite thing to play right now. We talked about it on the Upstate Pulse. I think it is because it's a perfect combo game, great one of half stealth game, but also you can get rocket launchers and just go light everybody up.
Yes,
like
you
get a
can.
nice little mix of both.
You can absolutely do that. You can play the Lonzo way, which is very loud and explosive.
The Warriors win that series if it doesn't get suspended. The Cavs get that ring. So we talked a little bit about the concept of competition back in the last segment, right? Talked about being into a series, talked about not allowing competition to blow it. One of the concerns is I offered a couple of them for both the Celtics and the Mavs. One of the concerns that I have for the Dallas Mavericks is that Kyrie is still salty about his time with Boston. And Kyrie overextends himself in this series trying to get revenge, right? That he goes out there trying to prove, hey, you idiots let me go. You guys ditched me. You could have had a champ. You let whatever. Now, again, I don't know if Kyrie Irving has really moved on from that mentality or if it's just not making the news because he's in Dallas and they are not as invested in the drama as the media across the Northeast is. But I wonder if, Kyrie truly has matured past the point where I have to be concerned about that. And I don't know is the answer. But we were talking about yada, 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 talking about competition and how athletes are impacted by it, etc. There is right now in the Women's National Basketball Association, the WNBA. There's a little bit of controversy going on right now. And the controversy going on is between, I think, two different entities, two different groups of WNBA fans. I think there are a lot of WNBA fans that have been around for a while. I'm going to use the term a lot subjectively here, loosely. A lot of WNBA fans that have been around for a while. They were big on Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, Teresa Weatherspoon, etc. Some of the vintage names, some of the classic names. And that group is kind of making it known as of late that they're glad for the growth of the game, but they almost come across as like offended that people have started to tune in to watch Caitlin Clark play. And the Caitlin Clark phenomenon is real. It is real, okay? She is still drawing numbers, despite the fact that they are 2-9 now and got blown out by 40 yesterday. The Indiana Fever are still the most watched WNBA team. And yes, it is by and large because of Caitlin Clark. Saturday, there was a game between Caitlin Clark and the Chicago Sky, the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky. Of course, the Chicago Sky not only have Camila Cardoso from South Carolina, who ended Caitlin Clark's national championships aspirations this past season, but they also have one Bayou Barbie. Angel Reese is a member of that team. Of course, Angel and Caitlin, while both of them have said, oh, we're just competitors, we're both going to win, they got themselves a little bit of a rivalry that followed them from LSU and Iowa, respectively, up to the big show. Well, the Indiana Fever got win number 2 on the season by knocking off Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, and the Chicago Sky. So there was another incident that took place where Caitlin Clark got absolutely hammered by Kennedy Carter. Kennedy Carter has been a member of the WNBA for, I think, since 2000. So for 4 years at this point. And Kennedy Carter very clearly has taken some exception. She has taken some exception to Caitlin Clark and the publicity she has brought to the game. And she's not alone. Kennedy Carter, after a bucket that gave the Chicago Sky a 53-49 deficit to Indiana with about 24 seconds left to play in the third quarter. As Caitlin Clark was waiting for the inbound, Kennedy Carter came over. And Lonzo, if I asked you to describe the shoulder charge given by Kennedy Carter to Caitlin Clark, could you play-by-play it for me?
I can give you an example when a DB comes in and they don't see an offensive lineman and the offensive lineman hits the DB and the DB flies many yards. It's basically that.
Yeah. She popped her. She popped her good. She hit her with the old Braun Strowman, here comes the train around the ring movement, right? I mean, popped her. Caitlin goes to the turf. And if that wasn't enough, they showed a secondary angle of facing Kennedy Carter running towards the camera and Caitlin Clark, where she very clearly and loudly says to Caitlin Clark, "You," before shoulder checking her, which, like, okay. Now, I will fully acknowledge, like, maybe, because we've learned a little something about Caitlin Clark the last week and a half, ain't we? She's picked up a couple of texts. She's been getting into the face of some referees. I know that Caitlin Clark is frustrated. Y'all, she has played 151 college and professional games, and she has never taken L's like she's taking right now.
The losses, you're right, but you're just now discovering that she kind of has an attitude?
I mean, let's be real.
Her attitude right now is deserved, but when she played in college, from what I saw, she had that attitude. When your dad has to yell from the crowd to shut up, I think that makes it look like that's something that you do often.
I will also say, in a moment of enraging half my audience, I think if she was a man, we would all admire the fiery temperament. I don't know why. That's why I said it. But
really?
Yeah, I do.
You mean like when people complain about Luka whining all the time, or LeBron whining all the time, or Steph whining all the time? It's not. That's not praise. That's quit whining to the ref and play the game.
Praise. You just listed the three most popular NBA players of all time
who do not get praised for their whining.
They are everywhere. They're the biggest jersey sellers in America.
I don't understand what you're getting angry about. What you
because
said? You said if it was a man, it wouldn't be the same. They get yelled at, downgraded. People get upset every single year about how much they whine to the referees. They don't get built up for that. They get disparaged for it. I don't understand what you're not seeing here.
Let's turn on the NBA network right now and let's see what faces are thrown up there yesterday. I guarantee you it's Luka, Steph, and LeBron.
Can you explain to me the point you're making? Because I don't get it. Because
I can.
Yeah, they're on there because they're the stars, just like she's the star. You were talking about how she was fiery and feisty and all that kind of stuff. No, she's whining, just like all those stars do. They whine, but she wants the star treatment because of how she's being treated on her way in, and she's not that yet. She's not that yet.
Time out. She wants the star treatment. You got no idea about that. I have not seen Caitlin Clark out there asking for the star treatment.
All right.
She's not the one showing up doing fashion shows pregame. She's not the one doing any of that.
Listen, if you are whining and complaining to the ref, it's because you're used to whining and complaining at the other level you were on and getting your way. If you're doing it when you're a pro, that's because you think you're on the level of everybody else. So I do get some of the anger of the people. She needs to quit whining and crying. The refs need to do a better job because she is getting beat up without a doubt.
So wait. Hang on.
Whining and crying never does anything. Just like, I'm going to do what you're doing. I'm going to yell trying to make my point, but it's not making the point.
No, the problem is that you're saying a thing that I think is a point, and then you fly right past it. You are saying she is getting poor treatment from officials, yes?
No one said she wasn't.
Okay, then why is it bad she is asking for the correct treatment?
Because it's not going to work. It doesn't work with LeBron. It doesn't work with Steph. It might work with Steph a little bit.
It works with both of them.
It does not. Whining to the referee, especially when you're new, is only going to make you look like a problem. It's not going to get you any help. The only people who are getting her help is the outcry of the fans. That's it. If people didn't complain about that foul, they never would have overturned that.
Caitlin Clark. All right. So for the record, now I'm going to come back to this later because there's actually another conversation here, but we wound our way up here and I'm good with it. Caitlin Clark is absolutely trying to point out the fact that she is getting assaulted in these games. And it's because she is. I can see the games. I have a TV.
Do you think the refs don't see that? Of course they see that.
I don't have an issue.
How do we know they haven't been given a mandate to, hey, let it go?
If that is the case, then that is a bleep poor decision by the WNBA. But that is a conspiracy, and I have no reason to dive into that. There's no evidence of it other than she's just not getting calls. And the fact
it's a form of hazing. And hazing, whether it's legal or illegal, happens in every profession to a degree. And people are like, yep, welcome to the league.
Here is the problem if that is what they've decided to do. And again, I have no reason to believe it is the case. But here's the problem if that's what they've decided to do. If I am tuning in to watch the most popular women's basketball player, I'm going to say of all time, and there are a lot that I love. We got Chris in here in the chat talking about Rebecca Lobo and Lisa Leslie and Cynthia Koupa and Teresa Witherspoon. I agree. I'm going to add Diana Taurasi to that list as one of my GOATs. I'm going to add Candace to that group as one of my GOATs. There's a lot of these players that have been great, and I've loved watching them for many, many years. But I would argue that in terms of just visibility, Caitlin Clark is the most popular women's basketball player probably of all time. And so at a point in time where Caitlin Clark has showed up, the revenue of the WNBA is going to go up. They will likely still need to be supplemented by the men's game for a number of years. And okay, but in a year where they've got their charter flights, in a year where they've upgraded the treatment of these female athletes. And the reason is because Caitlin Clark, and I'm going to say to a lesser degree, Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso, et cetera, have brought so many more eyeballs to the product. If I am tuning in, as I did on Saturday, in fact, not only did I, but me and Mario and Cody Decker were all watching Chicago, Indiana while we were doing our show Saturday and commenting on it. In fact, betting it live as it was happening. First time that in the 3 years of that show, that I can say that everybody on the show staff was all tuned into a WNBA game. And we're watching Caitlin Clark get the hell beat out of her. Well, I got news for you. If that is how this game is being approached and the superstar we're all turning in to watch, I'm not saying that she's got to get special treatment. I'm saying when she is getting shoulder checked to the turf by another player and you ring it up as just a common foul and go play on, despite the fact that Caitlin Clark is getting freaking Willie Gayed into the hardwood, right? You've got to treat it more. You got to treat it more consistently. Chris on the stream said, Matt Barnes asked a great question about this topic. Where are her freaking teammates after that cheap shot she took? Her squad need to have her back, man. That's BS. I don't disagree.
Have you watched the Matt Barnes thing? I have.
I have not.
It's pretty good because he was the enforcer on a couple of different teams, and he's got a great point. And this also plays into my hazing thing because maybe the team is backing off and saying, welcome to the league, young lady.
No, I don't think any of those things respectfully are true. I don't think there's any of that. It might be.
Okay,
but I don't think
we're both speculating. Neither one of us know, but that's fine.
Correct. But what I can say is I'm approaching this from a basketball standpoint of if her team is letting her get her ass kicked, then she needs to go to the big three today, right? To the Ice Cube League. If I'm Caitlin Clark and I find out my team's not doing anything on that inbounds pass, there was only one player around her, and it was whoever was bringing the ball in. All three others were on the opposite end of the floor getting set up, waiting for her to bring the ball down. So I'm not super hurt about that.
So there were never any opportunities for her teammates to come and do the same thing to the woman that did it to her.
Her teammates were in a 2-point game against the team they could legitimately beat and are rivals against, whether you like it or not. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are on opposite sides. And I'm telling you, if I am the head coach of that team, I am telling all of them, I know they're playing dirty. I know they're playing cheap shots, but what's the best way to get under their skin? Scoreboard, ladies. Scoreboard.
And see, I'm saying I can't believe you guys are out there and let them do that to her. Someone needs to go out there and stand up for your teammate.
Go 2-8 then. Go 2-9 after that loss.
Yeah, they're not going to do a whole lot.
Instead, what Caitlin Clark did was bring the ball down the floor, knock down the next J, extend her team's lead to 6, and go win the basketball game, which is what a competitor does, right? What a competitor does. Now, there are two more aspects of this conversation that I would like to get to coming up later in the show. Number one is the attitude of the old guard players that I'm curious as to how they think this is supposed to go from the perspective of the new fans to the league, the Caitlin Clark fans to the league. The second aspect is I hear the competitors, you got to do this, got to do that. There was something that happened in the WNBA back when the Detroit Pistons used to kick the crap out of Michael Jordan that I would like to bring to your attention later in the show. What I'd also like to bring to your attention is the most important stories in sports via Lonzo Sports Flash.
Yeah, no yelling here. Nice and calm. The South Carolina Gamecocks baseball season came to a conclusion in the Raleigh Regional yesterday. Until he leaves, then I'm going to yell the rest of the thing. With a 2-0 defeat by the James Madison Dukes, JMU had just 5 hits on the day, but 2 were solo shots by Mike Mancini that made the difference. The Gamecocks managed only 5 hits as well, and we're 0 for 9 with runners in scores position. The Clemson Tigers will host a super regional after a perfect 3-0 run through their regional. Clemson eliminated Coastal Carolina with a 12-5 win yesterday, holding the Chanticleers to 9 hits in 32 at-bats. The Tigers will host the winner of the Stillwater Regional, either Oklahoma State or the Florida Gators. And make sure you tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole, Bryson, and Diesel will get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, and a whole lot of fun. And it's all Wire to Wire. Moles, yelling don't make you right. Just makes you loud. I think we need to roll some tea in here, roll in some tea in here as an actual tea and have a civilized debate where voices are not raised and points are acknowledged. Sherbet. Hot tea, of course. Served by a butler on one of those pushing tray things. And he has to be really stodgy looking. Maybe with a monocle. I think Sir John Gielgud or whatever his name was from the movie Arthur back in the day. That guy. Or Michael Caine. We can have Michael Caine.
American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and
one of those. You just and on today's debate, we have Robert Brown on the other side. We have Lonzo Reitzel on this side. And we're going to have if anyone raises their voices, I will give them a pip now. Stop it.
Got a Mr. Belvedere reference in the chat from Chris.
That's AmericanEagle.com, 773 Network. It's the Rob Brown Show.
You have wanted for years men to be invested in your game. Here we are.
Good morning, Stephen. How are you?
We want to be a part of it, but you also have to say, y'all enjoy the game the way you enjoy the game. The day that you start policing fans and telling fans how they may and may not talk of it, not act, not come to the games and behave, not act towards play, but just talk about your game. If you are going to police the way we talk about your game, we'll go right back to not talking about it. And as somebody who wants women's sports to grow and get bigger and better, trust me, you don't want to get to a point where I feel like it is too controversial for me to address your game at the risk of offending the women who support it. If you want it to be treated like the big time sports, you've got to treat it like you are a big time athlete within that sport.
It's news. The Rob Brown Show.
That's a great promo. Thank you for that.
I know.
That's
dude, I know.
I wasn't saying it from the standpoint of it's high quality. It is, obviously.
That's
I'm saying
that's
that
a
was
high quality promo right there.
I was saying it's a great pick of a segment, and it is a perfect sports talk radio show promo. Thank you for doing it.
I'm an award-winning producer. I don't know if you know that.
Again.
Many times. I mean, the one talent that I actually have is that. Everything else is just pretty mediocre. Although I do make people pretty angry. I'm good at that too. So.
And here we go with our number 2 of the Rob Brown radio program. Rob and the Great One Lonzo with you on a lovely upstate Monday a.m. Hope you had a spectacular sports weekend. The Edmonton Oilers finish on. Why am I telling you this now? It's kind of part of this segment that we're about to do. The segment we do every day at 7 o'clock in the morning because you've got, wait for it, 59 minutes until you've got to clock into work on the dot. 59 minutes, you're up, you're getting dressed. You're probably sitting at the table right now, having your coffee, going through your morning routine, getting set up. You got that 20-minute drive into the office, and then you're going to have to deal with that first morning conversation with Jim. He doesn't like to talk sports. He's like, how's the weather this weekend? Did you get anything good? I want to talk about that, Jim. I want to talk about sports, all right? I'm a sports guy. I want to talk about sports. So ignore Jim. All right. Jim's a perfectly nice guy. But Jim, it's 8 o'clock on a Monday morning. It's 7 o'clock right now. I'm hypothetically speaking about when you get to work. It's 8 o'clock in the morning.
They could
Jim.
be listening in a different time zone where it might actually be 8 o'clock. I don't know.
I mean, if it's 8 o'clock, you're in the Atlantic Ocean right now. So if you're on an oil rig somewhere east of Virginia, then maybe. And also I'm thinking, I don't think anybody on oil rigs check-ins at 8 o'clock after that commute to the rig. You ever been in an oil rig? They're terrifying.
No, I haven't been on a boat out that far before. We pointed out earlier in the show, the landlocked thing. I do enjoy going to the ocean.
Are you an anti-boat guy?
No,
Okay.
I've just never been on a boat on the ocean because those cost money that I don't have. But if I had the money to go, I probably would give it a shot. With my ear problems, though, I'm thinking a boat might do the same thing that the mountains do. I'm not going to know till I try it. I've been on smaller boats, speed boats, fishing boats, been on that, but I've never been on a big boat in the ocean.
Maybe we put together a Rob Brown Show cruise. That's what we need to do. We need Jericho's got the wrestling cruise. We need a sports talk cruise. I'm all in.
My wife and I have talked about going on a cruise.
I love cruises. I love cruises. You get on the boat and your responsibility's over. It's just debauchery for 5 or 7 days.
Yeah, debauchery I'm not concerned about because I don't debauch. But the other thing is, you hear a lot of stories about sudden illness on everyone on a boat, and then they're not allowed to come back to land or something. That I'm worried that would be me.
I've been on probably a dozen cruises in my life. Because they are the least responsibility you can have on a vacation. And you know me, that's the goal. Never had that issue.
With the rail slides and other things, probably not a good idea for you to go on a boat now. I'm just saying.
Wow. Okay.
Sometimes people
gonna make it personal at 7:03 in the morning.
I'm concerned for your well-being, and sometimes people disappear off those boats and they're never found.
It is 7:03. You now have 56 minutes and 5 seconds until you have to clock in at the office jog. Ignore Jim, work your 15, and then take that first break. And when you take that first break, you're going to walk down. You're going to walk right past Jim. Ignore him. You're going to go grab Hank. Hank's the maintenance guy. Solid guy, Hank. Real good dude. Hank loves him some basketball, too.
Right? I call him Henry, but I'm a little more civilized.
You go grab Henry from maintenance. Y'all walk down. Henry's got that spot, too, the spot. He knows where the balls don't go, right? So you go with Henry, take your first break of the day, talk sports. If you want to talk sports, you got to know what's going on in the world of sports. And if you got to know what's going on in the world of sports, you need this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar? The almanac of the absurd and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
Shut the hell up.
even before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It's the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office this AM and start talking sports with your coworkers. This is what you're going to be talking about. Let us begin, my friends, with item number 1. After a pair of elimination games of what?
It was the first one, okay? When you
No.
first,
I blew it. I said elimination games.
No. When you first turn the water thing over, it takes this
I'm
that
not
big old bubble.
You're missing me. I don't
Okay.
care about the sound.
Okay.
I said elimination games.
Okay, all right, and I'm trying to cover for you.
Don't do that. I
Why?
blew it because
Why?
I
Just-
own my mistakes.
it's called-
all right.
It's called team, man.
I
There's
own my
2 of us here.
mistakes.
I'm trying to.
I'm
fine.
better than
These
that.
shoulders are big enough to handle, covering your mistake.
In a pair of elimination games this weekend, our Stanley Cup finals are officially set. We flash back to Saturday when the New York Rangers were up against it down in Sunrise, Florida, taking on the Florida Panthers, and it would be the Cats that finish it all off. A 2-1 win in game number 6, a 4-2 series win for Florida. Of course, Florida, suffering their heartbreak last year, has an opportunity to right everything that went wrong in that game. Just before the conclusion of period number 1, Sam Bennett would find the back of the strings to put the Cats up 1. Vladimir Tarasenko would get another in the 3rd period, about halfway through the final period of the contest. Artemi Panarin would get a goal for the Rangers with a $1:40 left to play in the contest. The Rangers would go empty net, but could not find the equalizer in the contest, and Florida moves on. Sergei Bobrovsky, a.k.a. Bob. Bob saved 23 of 24 shots for a 96% save percentage. Only had 1 power play save. The Rangers came into this series with the power play and the penalty kill working hard, and then it just died on them in this series. That is why the Cats are on to the finals. Then yesterday evening, the Edmonton Oilers finally got America's hat back into the Stanley Cup Finals with a 2-1 win over the Dallas Stars in the Western Conference Finals, Game 6. They win that series 4-2. Connor McDavid had a power play goal less than 4.5 minutes into period 1. Zach Hyman would add a power play goal less than or just over 10 minutes later. No goal scored in the 2nd period. Mason Marchment would get a goal in the 3rd period. And Dallas, however, would not be able to find the equalizer late in the 3rd. They went with an empty net for about the last 2.5 minutes of the contest, but were unable to get back into it. So our Stanley Cup Finals is set. Edmonton will take on the Florida Panthers. The Stanley Cup Finals will begin on Saturday. Let's get to item number 2. Baseball regionals taking place around the country this weekend, and a handful of the local teams found themselves involved. Coastal Carolina was one of them. Unfortunately for Coastal Carolina, they had to head down the road to Clemson, South Carolina. The Clemson regional included Clemson, Vanderbilt, Coastal, and High Point. Well, Clemson knocked off High Point on day number 1. Coastal knocked off Vandy in game number 1. Vanderbilt was the team Clemson was worried about. Clemson had failed in the last 5 regionals that they hosted to move on. And the concern was about the Vanderbilt Commodores, who out of the Southeastern Conference, we're bringing some of the best pitching in the country. We're going to talk to John Blau about this coming up in about an hour and a half from right now. Vanderbilt got eliminated before they even took the field with the Clemson Tigers. They got bounced by Coastal and High Point in back-to-back games. Coastal would then finish off High Point and take on Clemson in the winner's bracket. It took Clemson exactly one game to put away the Chanticleers yesterday. So Clemson wins their regional and they send Coastal home. Up in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, the LSU Tigers found themselves up against the Wofford Terriers. Wofford gave it a go. They gave LSU everything that they could handle. In fact, had a lead on LSU early in the elimination game, but unfortunately for the Terriers, just could not finish off the reigning, defending national champions of last year. North Carolina, the 1 seed, would take an L yesterday in the back half of LSU's doubleheader against Wofford and then North Carolina. That sets up an LSU UNC regional final today. The winner will take on West Virginia. And then there was South Carolina. South Carolina went up to Raleigh. They needed a little bit of help. They did not get it. Got a win on day number 1, but then dropped a couple, including the elimination game yesterday against the Dukes of James Madison. James Madison would go on then to take the host of NC State in the elimination game last night. And the Wolfpack, don't turn your back on the Wolfpack, would get the win. NC State advances to take on Georgia. Here's who we know has advanced so far. The number 1 overall seed, the Tennessee Volunteers, did not lose in their regional. They have moved on. They await the winner of the Greenville, North Carolina regional hosted by ECU. ECU takes on Evansville today after those two teams eliminated Wake Forest, shockingly, and VCU. Down in Norman, Oklahoma, Duke eliminated, as was Oral Roberts. Oklahoma and UConn, the 1 and the 3 seed in that regional, will play. The winner will advance to Tallahassee's super regional to take on the Noles, who bounced Alabama, Stetson, and UCF to move on. Virginia and Kansas State have advanced out of the Fayetteville and Charlottesville regionals. Arkansas, one of the best teams in the country, get bounced by the Wildcats of Kansas State. Mississippi State taken down by the Hoos last night. Virginia, Kansas State in round 2. And as mentioned, West Virginia awaits the winner of LSU and North Carolina tonight. Texas A&M able to move on past Louisiana. Texas and Grambling, they get Oregon, who moved on past UCal, Santa Barbara, San Diego, and Fresno State. Clemson awaits the winner of the Stillwater Regional. That is Oklahoma State and Florida. Those two teams play in an elimination game this afternoon. The winner of that game will come right on down to Clemson for the Super Regional. And then, as we mentioned, the Athens Regional won by Georgia, the host. The Raleigh Regional that bounced South Carolina won by NC State. The host, Georgia and NC State, will match up in the Super Regional. And then Lexington, Kentucky, home of the Wildcats. Well, the Wildcats move on. They bounce Illinois, Indiana State, and Western Michigan to move to the Super Regional. They await the winner of Oregon State and UC Irvine. The winner of that game today will take on Kentucky. That is your Super Regional as it sets up today. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I'm not moving from the TV. Regional number 1, ECU and Evansville at noon. At 3 o'clock, Oklahoma State and Florida. 6, UNC versus LSU and Oregon State at UC Irvine. And then we all capped off tonight with UConn and Oklahoma at 9 p.m. Sit tight. Get your popcorn ready. There is no better postseason in sports than college baseball's postseason. Let us get to item number 3. Dude, I'm very uncomfortable right now. Tell you why I'm uncomfortable right now. I'm uncomfortable because the Atlanta Braves winning a series should not be something that I have to ask myself, do I make this a cheat sheet item tomorrow? Do I make the Braves winning a series a item on the water cooler cheat sheet? And then I thought back to last Friday. When the Braves dropped another series, this time at home when they lost 3 out of 4 to the Washington Nationals. That days after they dropped 2 out of 3 to the Pittsburgh Pirates. And on Friday, I pushed the button. I said, ladies and gentlemen, the Atlanta Braves are in trouble. They are cooked, they are done, they are roasted and toasted and burnt to a crisp, and I don't know what they can do to fix it. Well, the Braves did turn around and win the next series. Of course, they won the next series over the lowly Oakland Athletics. And Oakland Athletics team, that is, and this is true, I've done the research, bad. They are 24-37 are the Oakland Athletics. They are, where my stats go? 11-21. I was right the first time. 11-21 on the road. It's a bad A's team. The Braves managed to take 2 out of 3. Here's the problem. They put up 9 runs in game number 2 and lost that game 11-9 to the Oakland A's. It was one of the few bad games from Chris Sale. The games that they won, they combined for 7 runs in the 2 wins. 4-2 winners in game 1, 3-1 winners in game 2. Now, there's good news in that you're holding teams in some of these games to 1, 2, 3, 4, 0 runs. The bad news is that in those same games, you're scoring 3 or 4 runs. The Braves had in May, which is, and this is also true, the Braves had in May the 3rd worst scoring differential in Major League Baseball. Runs scored versus runs allowed, they were one of the worst teams in MLB. I do not know how to tell you the existential crisis that I am dealing with this baseball team. I do not know how to tell you the struggle that I am having to tune into games right now, because I know they're just going to depress me greatly more than they allow me to celebrate as I have the past few years. But every slump needs a kickstart. Every slump has got to have that moment where you break out. A win over the Oakland Athletics is not that. All right. So Braves fans, those of you that were hitting me up on Twitter, hey, Rob, we won a series. Hey, Rob, here come Atlanta. No. Now you got to go to the Red Sox for a short series with them. We'll see, I guess. Ugh, it makes me feel gross. I'm going to go take a shower during this break of the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
You like?
All right, guys, quick live, and I'm back. Y'all stay right there for me. We will BRB.
Can't wait to hear what's next on Wire to Wire with Cole and Diesel.
Tell me what's coming up.
What were the biggest surprises in the first 3 days of regional play?
Our co-part, Rob Brown, said it is time to hit the panic button on the Atlanta Braves.
Did he say co-part?
Cohort.
I don't think
like cohort.
I don't think he said cohort. It didn't sound. I think he said co-part. I'm sure we'll hear it again before the show is over. I'm pretty sure he didn't say cohort. But again, my ears are messed up, so I guess it's possible.
I am honored to have made a wire-to-wire promo. Man, look at us, Lonzo. We're hitting the big time. I'm a co-part. I thought he said cohort.
I think he said co-part. It doesn't matter. I mean, words are difficult.
Either way, yes, indeed, I did say it's time. Sorry, it is. Winning a series over the Oakland Athletics should be expected.
You know what? I think Friday's panic was a work. I think you're discussing it right now as a work. I've seen real panic from you the last couple of years. I don't think you're there. I really don't. I don't see the depressed the rest of the day type of unless maybe your outlook on life has changed to a degree to where you don't let it bog you down like you did the last couple of years. But I'm just not feeling the panic.
The 7 stages of grief. You heard of the 7 stages of grief? It opens with shock and denial. I think we've moved past that part, right? Like early in the season, 30.
No. You haven't exhibited that kind of. Again, I could go back the last couple of years and probably pull those segments, but it sounds like a lot of effort, so I'm not going to do it. But still, I could. And you seemed a lot more panicked back then than you do right now. I think this is faux panic. I don't think it's real.
So I have moved past shock and denial. When we got to about game 30, game 35 on the season, because while I disagree with Diesel, who has said, first 50 games of the season don't matter. Yeah, they do. Tell that to the Chicago Cubs last year who missed the playoffs by a game. Yes, they do.
I agree with my co-part, Diesel, about the 50 there.
You're both wrong. I appreciate that you agree with each other. You are absolutely wrong.
We're right, and his beard is amazing.
It is. We agree with that. But yes, the first 50 games of the season are important, not just for setting the tone, not just for establishing your place in the division, but it matters because, again, if you miss the playoffs by a game, you can go back and pick any one of the first 50 that didn't matter, change the result, and you're in the playoffs. But let's put that aside. What I will say is that whether or not the first 50 games of the season matter, you have to be established in your identity by 50. And that's not to say that your identity can't change later on in the season. I would look last year at the team that eliminated the Atlanta Braves, the Philadelphia Phillies, a team that 50 games through the season last year was okay. They were an okay team. And then after the break, they started to get hot. They started running down the Braves. Now, part of the reason they ran down the Braves because the Braves established themselves so far early in the season last year. By the time that the All-Star break ran around, it was like pretty much in the bag. They were winning the division. And so the last month of the season, the Braves were half-assing it because they didn't have to do any more than that. Well, we are over 50 games into the season now, and the identity of the Atlanta Braves is a lot of talent and zero results based on it. So I've moved past shock and denial, stage 1 of the 7 stages of grief. Nope. Because at 50 games into this season, I've looked at this team and I have said, this team's too good to be this bad. And I honestly think I've moved past anger a little bit.
Nope.
I have moved past stage 2 of the 7 stages of grief of anger because I have raged at this team. I have looked at this team and said, what the hell is wrong with y'all? How is Matt Olson, a guy that led Major League Baseball in home runs and RBIs last year, how's this guy batting 230 or whatever he's sitting on after this weekend? It's not okay, guys. You are better than this. Be better than this. And I think now I have reached stage 3 of the 7 stages of grief when it comes to the Atlanta Braves, and that is bargaining. I'm at the bargaining stage right now. I'm at the bargaining stage right now because I've reached the aspect of the stages of grief where I am saying, okay, you know what? We'll give up the first half of not give up, not like quit, not like lay down, but I will be willing to look back at the first half so long as Alex Anthopoulos, you do what you did in the World Series year of a few years back in 2021, which was 30 years ago in Braves time. You go back and you do what you did that year. You make a couple of redonkulous moves at the trade deadline. You bring in a couple of pieces that bolster. You go get me a bat in the outfield that I can chunk out there and allow Adam Duvall to go back to being a platoon player because he can't be an everyday player. That allows Jared Kelenic to sit down when he goes on a cold streak. I have accepted that the Braves just aren't going to be the team we thought they were going to be. We all thought that the Braves and Phillies were going to be flip-flopped to what they are right now. We all thought it was going to be the Braves that were on a first 50 that ended up being, first 60 now, that ended up being 41-19. 24-9 at the house, 17-10 on the road, winning almost 70% of their baseball games. That was going to be Atlanta, and it was going to be Philly that was hanging around 33-24. It was going to be Philly that was going to be bobbing a handful of games over 500. And yes, to those of y'all that are fans of the 26-33 Reds or the 27-32 Pirates or the 27-32 Diamondbacks or the 21-37 Rockies or over in the American League, the 28-30 Jays, the 15-45 Red Sox, whoever you're a fan of, yes, I understand that it is hard to sit here and listen to me about a team that is 33-24, but this team is nowhere near the level they should be, being as good as they are. And I have reached stage 3 of bargaining, where I'm just looking every day and running the back of my hand down a picture of Alex Anthopoulos' face and saying, please save us, AA.
Did you just point out that half of MLB is below 500? Because that's what it sounded like.
That's like ballpark. Let's see. In the National League East, 3 of the 5 teams are below 500. In the National League Central, 3 of the 5 are below 500. 4 of the 5 are below 500. In the National League West, 3 of the 5. So in the NL, over half the teams are below 500. Over in the American League, 2 of the 5 teams in the AL East are below 500. 1 is at 500. In the Central, 2 of the 5 teams are below 500. And in the American League West, 4 out of the 5 teams, including the defending World Series champions, are below 500. So actually over half of the league is below 500.
Wow. Is that normal? I mean, that's kind of sad.
It's usually around half the league, but I will also point out this year that the teams that are good, and I am talking about the 42-19 Yankees, I'm talking about the 37-20 Orioles, I'm talking about the 39-20 Guardians, the 36-25 Royals, the 34-27 Seattle Mariners, yep, that's a thing, the 41-19 Phillies, the 33-24 Braves, the 36-23 Brewers, and the 38-23 Dodgers. The teams that are at the top of the list right now are just so much better than the teams that are at the bottom of the standings right now that they're like hoarding games at this point. We've been spending all this time talking about the Phillies and how good they are. The Yankees now have a better record because Juan Soto is a monster, because Aaron Judge looks like old Aaron Judge again, just like I said they would when they added Juan Soto to the roster, by the way. I know what the hell I'm talking about. The teams that are at the top are so head and shoulders over everybody else that it's like a different world. But to all of those teams that are indeed below 500 or hovering around 500. I know that it's hard to listen to a Braves fan sit here and moan and complain about a team that is sitting well over the 500 mark at 33-24, winning almost 60% of the games, 58% if you want the exact number, 57.9% if you want the exact number. But I've hit the bargaining stage. I've hit the bargaining stage of the 7 stages of grief because I know that over the past few years, the runs have been made because AA has made the moves. The Braves are even in a position to be upset because of what? The amount of talent on the roster, right? And yes, I know Ronnie is gone for the season. Your reigning, defending, undisputed NL MVP. I know you don't get him back this year. That sucks. That's tough. But between Olsen and Murphy and Albies and Riley and Sale and Freed, you've got too much talent on this roster to be a team that is hovering 6-7 games over 500 and watching the gap between you and Philadelphia grow. It is now 6.5 games. You got too much talent. However, you don't have enough talent. And so I have now reached the bargaining stage in the 7 stages of just hoping that once again, Alex Anthopoulos, who has built a young core, a core that's locked in for a very long time, is going to make another miracle move because that's what it's going to take. You're texting your thoughts, Braves fans, when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
It's so hard to eat when you can't close your mouth all the way.
Dude, do you have a lockjaw?
No. Playing football, and this guy hit me with the right cross, and it locked up my jaw. And so instead of going and getting it checked because I didn't have insurance, I just pounded the right side of my face till it unlocked.
Oh.
And so sometimes when the sinuses are really, really bad and I sleep a certain way, my jaw gets out of place. And I can't get it back till it pops. This is the worst it's been in a long time.
You do have health insurance now, Alonzo. I think you should take advantage of that. The inability to close one's mouth seems like a problem.
I can close it. It just closes differently. Most people, if they're right-handed, they eat on the right side. Your dominant side, you don't realize you do it.
I don't think I do.
You chew mostly.
I mean, I don't think I realize
You
it.
chew mostly on your right-hand side. My right-hand side won't close all the way. So I'm trying to use my front teeth and the left side to a degree. But this hurts really, really bad. So
Okay.
next time you eat, think about it.
I'm absolutely going to.
Try it at your local lunch today.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
Gotta change my oil.
How about new Valvoline Restore and Protect? It restores and protects your engine to run like new.
It restores your engine to like factory clean?
And protects.
So Valvoline Restore and Protect restores and protects.
Now you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil for $37.99. Restrictions apply.
From the Angels Market Studio, the
Upstate.
I am a doctor's dream full of weirdo ailments. It's always something we don't know what it is. Like when I was in the hospital, we don't know what it is. It just.
The Rob Brown Show carries on. It is the Fan Upstate. There is an issue right now in the WNBA. And I would like to address it because I'm here to help. Here's the issue. The issue right now is that for whatever reason, there is a group of WNBA fans that have been WNBA fans for a while. I am going to affectionately refer to them as WNBA hipsters. Now, I don't have an issue with WNBA hipsters. I know what it is like to love something for a long time and then watch a whole new group of people not just begin to love that thing, but a whole new group of people come in, begin to love that thing, but then try to change that thing.
I'm so disappointed right now because you talked about hipsters and then you said, I know what it's like to be, and I thought you were going to say a hipster.
I mean, I do.
Okay.
I do.
All right.
So the concept of a hipster, or for those of you that are like, what's a hipster? For those of you that do not know what a hipster is, the concept of a hipsters are people who love things that are outside of the mainstream and then make that like the primary part of their personality, right? And you could be a hipster about music or entertainment and movies, or hell, you can be a hipster about sports. It is not so much people think hipster and they get the image of like the dude with the dirty hair that wears a beanie in July. Okay.
And flannel and shops
Right.
at Trader Joe's.
That is not a hipster. That is a hippie.
No,
It's a different thing.
That's a hipster.
No, it's not. I mean, those people can be hipsters, but that is
You're
not.
trying to change the word nerd into hipster. I don't think it's working.
No, I did not. Nerds are nerds. Hipsters are hipsters. In fact, I would almost argue that you can be a comic book hipster, but you were the person who loved those stories before the Marvel Cinematic Universe started bringing the whole world into the world of comic book superheroes. Anyway, when it comes to the WNBA
so like
fans,
being a boomer.
No, nothing like being a boomer.
Because well, back in my day, that's how you're making it.
That
sound
is
like.
being a hipster, but that is not
also
specifically
being
a boomer quality.
Boomer,
All right, listen.
Kind of.
Let me simplify it down so that I can get this out before I run it out.
You're gonna bring it down to my level. Thank you.
You're very welcome. That's what I'm here for. A hipster is somebody who likes something before it became mainstream. Okay. So like a comic book hipster is somebody that they were reading comic books their whole life. And ordinarily what they are known for is then having a begrudging attitude towards those who begin to love the thing later. So if you're like me and Lonzo and you read comic books growing up and then the MCU started and you're like, yo, this is dope. Welcome to Iron Man, everybody. Isn't this awesome? You are technically a hipster, but you don't have a negative attitude. Most hipsters have a begrudging attitude towards those who love something that they loved before it was cool to love the thing. And the WNBA has right now its fair share of hipsters. And those hipsters are quite upset at the way that the conversation has been changing around Caitlin Clark. But we talked about this already. Rolando put together and ran a phenomenal promo about a take I had last week of, to those of you, especially respectfully, the young ladies who have been around, associated with, played in, coached in the WNBA, let me make a plea to you. I'm going to get away from it because I've already said this. Don't police how the new fans talk about your game, because if you tell them it's not okay to talk about your game like you talk about the NBA or MLB or NFL or MLS or NHL or any of the other sports, if you tell us it's not okay to love sports the way that we love sports, then we'll go right back to not paying attention. I promise you, I've watched it happen. Now, there is one discussion that I am finding very interesting in the world of the WNBA that I think stems from that issue. The old WNBA fans and the new WNBA fans. And to be honest with you, that may not even be true, but that's the way I've seen the conversation kind of break down from my perspective. There is this conversation going on right now where players who have been in the league for a while, like, for instance, Kennedy Carter. We've talked about Kennedy Carter this morning. Kennedy Carter is the young lady who put the shoulder check on Caitlin Clark and sent her screaming into the stands. Kennedy Carter's been in the league for like a hot minute. She's been there, I think, since 2020 or 2021, but she's been there for a few minutes. And Kennedy Carter, along with a number of players that have been in the league for a while, are taking some level of umbrage with Caitlin Clark. And I get it. They've been in the league for a while. They've been playing professionally for a while. Here comes this brand new rook out of Iowa, and she brings more eyeballs to the league than they've been able to bring to the league for some time. And I'm sorry if that hurts anybody's feelings, but the truth is the truth. And they have been saying, you know, you can't just put the limelight on Caitlin Clark. You can't do that. You can't treat her special. You can't do this and that. And while I agree with all those things, there's another group of fans. There are the fans that every time that a Kennedy Carter says after the game's over and she gets asked in a press conference, hey, you got into it with Caitlin Clark. You looked deep into her eyeballs and you called her what's your take on that? Like, what happened? And she says, I'm not taking any Caitlin Clark questions. And then the next day, she decided that she was willing to tweet about Caitlin Clark. And she tweeted something to the tune of, besides shooting threes, what does she bring to the league? And there was a lot of, ooh. Kennedy Carter with the pot shot on CC. And there were people from the new guard of WNBA fans who were going, you can't talk about Caitlin Clark like that. I saw one tweet. She said, what besides three-pointing does she bring to the league? And a fella responded to her on Twitter and said, I don't know, charter flights, TV contracts, more money for all of you. Your salary all went up, and a lot of that has to do with Caitlin Clark. And basically cooked Kennedy Carter, and then decided to go the extra mile and point out that through 11 games, a run, or 10 games or whatever it is, a run where Caitlin Clark's now, 11 games, 2-9, that Caitlin Clark already has higher career averages in points, shots, rebounds, etc. than Kennedy Carter does in her career. But again, welcome to the world of bleep talk in sports. A lot of folks on the Twitter said, you can't talk about her like that. You can't go after Caitlin Clark like that. And I find myself in this weird, interesting middle portion of that conversation, because on one hand, on one hand, Caitlin Clark should be treated fairly by the officials, fairly by the league. There's no need for players to be giving her shoulder checks under the basket. There's no need to be out there busting her in the chops, popping her in the eardrum, driving her into the hardwood, hard fouling her when she comes off a screen. Whatever. That is all correct. And it's not because Caitlin Clark is Caitlin Clark. It's because that's not basketball. It never has been basketball. Now, there are some people who play basketball that way, but that's why we have officials with whistles on the floor. But then there's the other half of the conversation, right? Here's a tweet that kind of triggered this for me. There is a young woman who covers the WNBA for Barstool Sports named Casey Smith. Casey Smith wrote this tweet. She said on Saturday, after the Kennedy Carter situation, before Caitlin Clark got drafted, WNBA players talked. She struggled in her debut and people celebrated. Now she's balling on a bad team and players are openly taking cheap shots. Hell of a way to treat the player who single-handedly put you in the spotlight. Ladies. And I thought this tweet is very interesting to me because whether you like it or not, and a lot of the old guard fans don't, yeah, Caitlin Clark is the biggest limelight bringer that the WNBA has had, I'm going to say, ever. That is true. That is true.
Women are meaner to each other than guys are. I mean, we can work with someone that we cannot stand for years. Women can't do that. If they get mad at another girl, that's it.
I'm not going to be brave enough to delve into the generalization that the great one is making. I will say that the treatment Caitlin Clark has received from WNBA players that are not on her team has been brutal. He ain't wrong. So this tweet from Casey Smith got me thinking because I said on one hand, you're right. On one hand, it has been brutal. It has been very interesting. And I would say they probably need to watch it because there comes a point where you start treating Caitlin Clark a certain kind of way, and the people who tune in to watch Caitlin Clark are going to go, I'm not tuning in to just watch her get her ass kicked every single game. I'm not tuning in to watch Kennedy Carter, shoulder check her into the sideline like an NFL linebacker every game. I'll check right back out until they treat her fairly. But on the flip side, there is an other alternate side to this conversation. And the alternate side to this conversation is they are pro athletes. They are professional athletes. And as anybody who has ever played sports at any level will tell you, if you are going to succeed, if you are going to thrive, if you are going to win in any level of athletics, but certainly when you get to the highest level that any sport is played, you got to kind of have a little bit of that psycho in you. You got to kind of have a little bit of that killer in you. You got to kind of have a little bit of that Billy Badass in you that looks at the best player in the world across the floor wearing the other uniform from you, and in your head say, I'm going to kick her ass. I'm going to kick his ass. I'm going to kick everybody's rear end up and down this floor for 48 minutes.
Some people don't leave it in their head.
Some people will tell you to your face, I'm about to whoop you, Jack. Right? Like Tommy Pham, who we're going to talk about here in just a minute. Like Conor McGregor did for years, right? Like there are these elements of it where you're a competitor. You're a high class. You're the highest class of competitor. And the highest class of competitor, what, Casey Smith, do you want them to do? What do you want them to do? Do you want Kennedy Carter to come out and go, Caitlin Clark's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. Caitlin Clark is the best ever. Caitlin Clark is a miracle worker for the WNBA. Do you want these women to like openly worship Caitlin Clark on the floor, or in the sake of keeping your league interesting, do you want them to go out there and try to kick Caitlin Clark's ass like every NBA game is?
See, I don't care what you think about the person. Don't put a New Orleans Saints bounty on her. That's what it seems. There's a bounty on her. Which again, I pointed out before this whole thing started. Before she even took the court in the WNBA, there was a bounty out on her, and it's still out there. Can the public outcry make the officials and the powers that be in the WNBA find a way to get it toned down? I don't know if they can or not.
So I would first start by saying, let's be real careful about that, because now we know that there is a difference between, there's a bounty out, as in everybody's trying to kick their ass, versus there's a bounty out, as in literally someone wants you to take them out of the league.
I did not say anything about number values or anything, but it seems to be a concerted effort by every other team to beat her up.
I'll tell you what I think it is. I don't think it's all that tough. I'll tell you what I think it is. I think you got a lot of vets in the league that are real mad that they've gone out there and busted their humps for years to play professional basketball. And here comes this young lady out of Iowa who's got more money than they've ever had, who got a shoe deal from Nike they've never gotten, who got a sportswear line from New Balance they've never gotten before, who got TV money they've never gotten, and they got endorsements and this, that, and the other. They've been toiling in the league, a league that has been, let's be real with each other, mocked forever. And then here comes this one woman out of college, and all of a sudden we're all taking it seriously, and all of a sudden it's being talked about, and they're on TV, and she's getting the shoe deals. I'm not saying this because they're women, because I think this is true in every league. I think they're upset and they are jealous about what the attention Caitlin Clark has, and they're going to make her pay for it in the only way they know how to, which is busting her up. And if that continues and the eyeballs go away from the sport because Caitlin Clark can't play basketball, you're going to be right back to where you started, ladies. And that's my warning. I also warn you all, you may want to make sure your belt's extra tight because Lonzo's about to charm the pants off you with the sports flash.
Let me quote Club Nouveau. I don't need, you don't need, we don't need no jealousy. The Stanley Cup Finals are set with the Edmonton Oilers out of the West meeting the Florida Panthers from the East. Florida eliminated the New York Rangers with a 2-1 win Saturday evening. The Edmonton Oilers dropped the Dallas Stars 2-1 with Connor McDavid and Zach Hyman both notching power play goals. Game 1 of the Cup Finals is coming up this Saturday. Man, it's taking forever to get to these finals things. U.S. gymnast Simone Biles won her 9th U.S. Gymnast Championship in preparation for gymnastics championship in preparation for this year's Summer Olympics in Paris. The 27-year-old finished with the highest 4-day score in all 4 events of the competition, something she'd done only once before in 2018. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for a brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole, Bryson, and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, a lot of fun, all Wire to Wire.
This is also affecting southbound traffic, so be mindful of that. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate.
Are you not able to enjoy this summer as much as you want because of your joint pain? This is the best time for being outdoors, but not if your knees, shoulders, back, or hips are hurting. Hey, it's Charlie James. Don't suffer any longer. Non-surgical joint pain relief is here at QC Kinetics. Give them a call today. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. I'm talking
Wesley, I was riddled by arthritis and didn't move for the entire day Sunday. I could make something up, but I basically just laid on the gaming chase lounger and played Starfield and watched Attack on Titan all day because I couldn't go outside and mow the lawn. Only technically get one day off a week. The arthritis thing, that is true. Oh, I'm a mess.
And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Granger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people.
Earlier, Chris said something about, that's cool, Wesley. Earlier, Chris said something about me being a cross between a deadhead and a parrot head. First of all, I bathe, so I can't be a deadhead. I don't drink, so I can't be a parrot head. I do have long hair, but I'm basically just a lazy gamer. That's just me. That's all I do. I watch TV and just make fun of people. That's all I do. Also had a show Saturday where Rob actually was there for the first time in 2 years. It was so weird. It was cool to introduce him to 3 states, though.
To what stuff?
To 3 states.
Oh.
to North Carolina,
I was
South
like,
Carolina,
states
and
of
Georgia.
mind? States of what? And then I realized you literally meant states.
I mean, like there are these things in the United States.
Yeah, I got it now. I caught up.
What one former president said 57 states, but there's only 50, but still. Brother. Nice job, brother. In truth, it's unfortunate, but it is the case. And this is the case for Rob, too. The majority of my life is work. Like in radio. Except Rob has like 37 jobs and he gets to do other stuff. But they're all basically vocal related.
Yep. All my jobs are words jobs.
Because he's got them pipes, yo. I ain't got them pipes.
These are going to hurt you.
Nah, not the one I thought we were going with.
Most impressive.
Yes, I am, but still not the one I'm going with.
Yeah!
Hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Radio program goes now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Fan Upstate. Robin the Great Lonzo with you here on a beautiful upstate, well, a little overcast Monday morning. It's, we're alive, and that's beautiful. You're here with us on the show, and that's beautiful.
Rob, can I hire you to be my lawn service?
Your lawn service?
Yeah, I need you to come over and cut the grass.
No.
Okay, all right.
No, I'm barely my own lawn service. I moved in with a fiance, and she's like, I got a yard guy. And I was like, sweet.
So while she was away, you didn't do anything in the yard at all?
I actually did get up yesterday. I had to host on BetQL from 9 to noon yesterday. And I got up at 7 a.m. because I was going to cut the grass before. And then it like legit. And this is, all right, let me tell you how unfair life can be sometimes. All weekend long, I'm like, I'm going to cut the grass Sunday morning. I'm going to be a normal.
Same here. Yeah.
Normal grown adult American male. I'm going to get out Sunday morning. I went Saturday night. Afternoon. I went and got I got a can of gas to put in the lawnmower, right? I had everything set up. I got the lawnmower out. I put the hose away. We got a hose that runs a sprinkler out by the pepper bed. I put that away, wrapped it up. Also, I could get up Sunday morning. I got up at 7 a.m. Sunday morning to cut the grass. I was going to be like a legitimate productive member of society. Got up Sunday morning to cut the grass, and it's raining all morning. So last night, the fiance gets home. I'm talking to her. She's in the Miami airport, right? About to fly home. And she's like, what'd you do? I said, well, I got up early this morning. I was going to cut the grass. And she goes, oh, let me guess. I was gone 6 days. You didn't cut the grass. I'm like, yeah, no, for sure. I was going to do it this morning. Like the plan was to do it this morning, but it rained. And she over the phone goes, yeah, sure it did. Sure, that's why you didn't get the grass cut. And it's like, dude, I genuinely, honestly tried for the first time. I was actually going to get up and cut the grass.
Did you secretly hope her flight was delayed because of rain so you could go, see, I told you?
I mean, it wouldn't have mattered because it totally could have been, well, why didn't you do it Wednesday or Thursday or Friday or Saturday? And the answer was because I planned it on Sunday.
Because it's dark when we get off work.
Yeah, I'm going with that. Even though it's not dark till 8 damn o'clock at night. Point is, I was going to do it, and it rained. And she's like, oh, yeah, sure, that's why. Sure, that's why. But it's for real, man. It's for real. So, let me ask where we land on this. You may remember the name Tommy Pham, Pham. Tommy Pham is a baseball player currently playing for the worst team in Major League Baseball, the Chicago White Sox, who are embarrassingly bad. And I would like to take you back a couple of years. I'd like to take you back a couple of years to, I think it was 2022, if I recall correctly, like early 2022. Tommy Pham started making the rounds of Major League Baseball because Tommy Pham, Lonzo, you'll remember this even if you don't remember it, open hand slapped Jock Peterson on a baseball field in a pregame warmup. Open hand slapped Jock Peterson on the field, like in the middle, like in front of everybody. And shockingly, Jock Peterson didn't immediately drop Tommy Pham like a bad habit right there on the spot.
He was Chris Rock shocked.
Yeah, we all were, because it's like, dog, an open hand slap. And then we found out later that the reason that he open hand slapped Jock Peterson was because they were in a fantasy football league together, along with a handful of other Major League Baseball players. And apparently Jock Peterson was talking Tommy Pham's fantasy football team, and he thought the appropriate reaction with that was to open hand slap another man. Now, Jock Peterson has also had a couple of other altercations, including this past weekend. Tommy Pham was playing in a baseball game, and Tommy Pham was thrown out at home in a game against the Milwaukee Brewers. In the game against the Milwaukee Brewers, one of the better catchers in the league, William Contreras, was behind the dish. Now, you have to remember in this conversation that Tommy Pham has a reputation around the league of being, a complete and entire pain in the most of the time. So Tommy Pham is on second base. There's a shot to the outfield. Tommy Pham is sent to home by his third base coach. Tells him, keep going. Give him the old windmill arm. Keep going. Chug a chug there, Tommy Pham. Tommy Pham is running to home. Tommy Pham is not exactly the quickest dude in the game. And in that spot, more often than not, the outfielder is going to try to throw the runner out at second, not try to outduel the runner to home. But in this case, I think it was Sal Frelick that was out there playing center, did try to outthrow Tommy Pham to home and beat Tommy Pham by like a mile and a half. Like William Contreras had time to catch the ball, square up to Tommy Pham, and wait. Pham didn't even like slide into the plate. He was like, I'm cooked. I'm out. Well, after that play was over, William Contreras turned around and started giving Tommy Pham the like Dikembe Mutombo no hands. He's like, no, you're not running on us, big boy. You're not scoring on us from second base. Absolutely not. Now, in fairness to Tommy Pham, we don't know what William Contreras was saying to Tommy Pham. Very clearly was saying something. I don't know if he was talking about his mama or saying his dog was ugly or just saying, hey, dude, you suck at baseball. However, Tommy Pham tried to put his hair up and square up on William Contreras and had to be held back by a number of members of his own team. Tommy Pham then went into the dugout and lost his mind about the entire situation. Pham said after the game, well, you know what? I don't even need to tell you what Pham said after the game. I'm just going to play it for you.
One-run ball game, close play at the plate. And actually, it wasn't even close. There's a shallow fly ball to left field. You would expect the left fielder to throw the base runner out on that play. But the situation of the game, third base coach sends you got to go. I'm nailed out at home by a mile. I'm going to the dugout, and then, I hear the tough guy with all the hoorah, so I'll never start anything, but I'll be prepared to finish it. There's a reason why, I do all kinds of fighting in the off season, because I'm prepared to somebody up. So you can take it as what it is.
You know, the Utes have taken the last couple of years to calling people in situations cringe. Like, yeah, you cringe, bro. That's cringe, bro. And you know, it's one of those things where I'm almost 40 years old, and I'm kind of at the point in my life where like I'm starting to separate from the use and their language. It like doesn't always click the way that in my 30s and in my 20s I was like, all right, those weren't words when I was a kid, but like I get it, dude. Like we're cool. I can still talk like you. I'm still hip, as we say. It was the first time, I think, that as a nearly 40-year-old man, I thought, oh, that's what cringe means.
I'm still trying to get over the hoorah bleep.
Yeah. Right?
What is that? I love that my dude is practicing fighting in the offseason because he's decided he's that guy.
I mean, okay. This has got big middle school JV, I ride the pine, but I ride for my guys energy.
If you're gonna throw hands, you should know how to do it. So I'm glad he practices his craft.
First off, can we be clear? I don't actually know that he does. And he you know what,
he
seems
he
like
could be lying? Come on. People don't do that.
The dude that says, my old man used to tell me this all the time. Now, as I've mentioned on the show before, because I don't care about your judgment, I've never been in a fight in my life. Oh, let me rephrase that. I've never thrown a punch or been punched in a fight in my life. Okay? I've been in a couple where like I've pulled a dude off another dude, or like, you know, took a guy to the ground and just held him there until the bouncer showed up. But I've never been strucketh nor strucketh another.
Armbar, rear naked choke.
Full Nelson.
Okay.
Just up onto the arms. It was a bar fight at a place called The Block in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. Very similar to the Blind Horse, for those of you that remember that legendary establishment. There were a couple of dudes getting after it. My buddy Matt was a bouncer. There were four of them. There was one of him. One of them had my dude on the ground. So I rolled up, put him in the net, and then just rolled on my back. Because there's nothing more infuriating than to a guy than having his arms up in the air and he can't move them, but he's dead turtled on the ground. Because he's just pinned there. All right. I've never been struck nor struck. All right. And I'm good with that because from the people I have spoken with who have been struck, I understand it hurts a little bit.
It doesn't feel good.
Yeah. So if I can,
believe it or not, I've been struck many times. I know it's a shocker.
Probably by a teacher.
No, I dodge those.
As somebody who has never been struck, I'd like to keep it that way. If I can words my way out of a fight, I will. All right. Call me whatever derogatory name you want to. I don't care. I've never been punched. I'm not trying to get that way. But when I was growing up as a young boy, you are especially who plays sports. And then as an older fella who finds his way into a watering hole every now and then, you are always aware that any given night, the getting punched in the face streak could come to its conclusion. And the old man used to tell me when I was knee-high to a grasshopper, a phrase that, by the way, I dropped on noted New Yorker Sean Marash yesterday morning, and he went, wait. A what? Knee-high to a grasshopper. What does that mean? Okay, so.
Wow. By the way, I've heard that growing up in Ohio, so it can't be a north-south thing. That's just got to be a him thing.
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely not a northeastern thing. So,
okay, I guess Ohio's Midwest. Okay, fine.
Yeah, you're definitely Midwest. You're definitely not northeast.
If you say so. I don't know where that line. Where does it start? At Ohio?
No, it's if you're touching the Atlantic in the north, you're northeastern. If you're not touching the Atlantic Ocean, you're not northeastern.
Okay, like so, one state over is not
northeastern.
That's
New York, Massachusetts, Maine, Vermont, Rhode Island.
That's dumb.
That's how directions work. Anyway, point here is when I was growing up and I was in a spot where, hey, fights happen in the world that I live in, the old man would tell me very frequently, it is not the dude that tells you how much of a badass he is that you need to worry about. It's the dude that never says anything that you need to worry about. The guy that takes his shirt off first is the least of your problems. The guy that says, I know martial arts, bro, is the least of your problems. It's the guy behind him not saying anything. The guy whose eyeballs are moving from target to target to target. The guy that leaves his shirt on. The guy that's not getting his feet square. That's the guy you got to worry about. So to hear my man decide in a Major League Baseball locker room that he is going to go, that's why I practice in the off season, so many fights, dude. That's how many. I hear the tough guy with the hoorah.
You know,
Tommy, stop.
You know what would make this segment perfect is if Tommy Pham just walked in this room and smacked Robin and walked out. Oh, that would be. I mean, it would probably hurt you, but it would be a good ending to the segment, though.
I don't understand. Like we just talked about Kennedy Carter and what she did to Caitlin Clark this weekend. Dude, grow up, man. Like, grow up. This is why, Tommy Pham, this is why you're on the worst team in baseball. This is why nobody wants your ass. This is why the only reason you're in the league is because the White Sox got you to play cheap for a team that sucks, my dude. Because if anybody's out here parading around the hoorah, it's you, guy. Like what are we doing here, man? That's why I practice fighting. I do karate in the basement during the off season. I got a speed bag in my bedroom. It's over by my Sailor Moon pillow. Stop it, you dork.
Look at you, anime reference.
You absolute nerd, Tommy Pham. This is why nobody wants you on the squad, bro. You got thrown out, walk back to the dugout, and figure out how you're going to do better next time out. You dork. What a dork. I got a dork before we go. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, another live read. Then we're back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you.
So, Rob, if I were to say there's a large storm system moving through the eastern half of the United States, what would be the most western state?
That is not the same as the Northeast.
What would be the most western state in the eastern half of the United States?
The most eastern state, the most western state we call an eastern state?
Yes.
Pennsylvania.
Wow. So if you're looking
now,
at
if you said eastern half of the United States, then it's Mississippi River over. But if you said the eastern United States, I'm going Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Virginia. That's what I wouldn't even say Virginia in the Northeast. Virginia's in the South. Maryland up and over to Maine is the Northeast of the United States. Basically, that part. The part that goes like that. That's the Northeast.
Doesn't seem right to me. Doesn't.
Ohio, Kentucky. I'm going to say Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, Louisiana, and everything in that is over to Virginia. That's the Southeast. I'm going to say Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, Illinois, Iowa, Missouri, Wisconsin is the Midwest. I'm going to say
you said Copart. I'm telling you said Copart. I'll pull it after the show and we'll listen to it closely. So what's the most southern state in the Northeast?
The most southern state in the Northeast is Maryland.
So is it Mideast?
All right, if you say northeastern United States, if you say the Northeast consists of Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland.
So North Carolina is in the South?
Yes. Everything from Virginia below is the South.
That's stupid.
Dude, Mason-Dixon line. Everything south of the Mason-Dixon line is the South.
I think North Carolina is above the Mason-Dixon, isn't it?
No, it is not. Virginia is the last state below the Mason-Dixon. From Virginia down, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, Tennessee. That's the Southeast. You can make the argument Kentucky belongs in that conversation. I do not agree. I say that Pennsylvania Northeast as well. I say Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, Illinois, Missouri, Wisconsin, Iowa, and Minnesota are the Midwest. Then I would go everything to the left of the Mississippi is the Western United States. That's the delineation of the map.
Wesley, stop. I know South Dakota isn't in the South. North Carolina not being in the Northeast doesn't make sense. So it just stopped wherever they said it stopped.
No, it stops at Virginia.
It's just a very small little portion in the top. Every other part of the United States is big. It's just that snobbish little bit. Well, this is it. This is your North. I don't. Doesn't. It's dumb.
I mean, you don't have to like it. That's
so the
just what it
majority
is.
of the coastline is in the South. The majority of the if you look at the map,
Virginia has very little coastline. Virginia has very little coastline.
Okay. All right.
Virginia has very little coastline, but from Virginia down as the South, from Delaware, Maryland, DC north is the Northeast. That's just how it is. And for the record, that's about splitting it in half. Virginia is about splitting the Atlantic seaboard of the United States in half. If you go to the map from the from the state line between Virginia and Maryland, if you look north and you look south to the coast of Florida down to Miami, and then north up to where Maine turns into America's Hat, Canada, in New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, it's about equidistant.
Isn't it equidistant?
No, it's equidistant.
I think it's equidistant. James says if the South wants, they should take West Virginia. I always thought West Virginia was in the South.
I'd be willing to say that it is. I think West Virginia, although I don't know why we needed a West Virginia.
I think really this comes down to accent.
No,
you can tell if you're in the North or the South, the East or the West, the Midwest by your accent.
That might, I mean, you may not be wrong, but if you really want to know what it is, it's the Confederate States are the South and everything else is the Northeast. It's the Mason-Dixon line South is the South/Southeast, and everything north of that is Northeast United States until you get to Ohio and you go left, and that's the Midwest, including Illinois, Michigan, etc. I also don't understand why Michigan has to have like two separate states. It's like two different parts. It seems unnecessary. Like that should just all be Wisconsin, and then Michigan's Michigan. I don't get it.
Maybe they fought somebody for it. I don't know.
No, there actually is a reason for it. I just forgot what it was. I knew it at one point. Anyway, point of all of that is yesterday I sat in on a show.
All right, guys, quit fighting about West Virginia. What's the West Virginia hate? The stream is by the way, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, X. They're fighting about West Virginia right now.
I promise you, there is no state I want to fight over less than, by God, West Virginia.
I have some wonderful family members in West Virginia, some of which watch every day. And shout out West Virginia.
Your primary college football celebration is burning furniture on a front yard. I don't know that I can. I don't know that I can understand.
Hey, if you
West Virginia,
burn the furniture, you get to go buy new furniture.
I don't know what it's like to be able to afford new furniture, so that doesn't help me at all.
Me either. I had to pay payments and
yeah,
finally got it paid off, and now it's all worn down and need to go pay payments again.
You haven't lived until you've lived when you have to pay a lease on a sofa. That's where you've truly lived. We've truly lived on the edge is when you have to make a couch payment on the month.
My mom's covered the couch in plastic and wouldn't let us sit on it. So I sit on the floor like the last 6 or 7 years.
I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense because so did my grandmother. And that's respectfully probably about the same generation of people.
Probably.
My grandma had plastic
my grandma
on the couch.
Would be a lot older than your grandma, but yeah, anyway.
Right. But your mom, probably about the same age as my grandma.
Okay.
My grandmother also had plastic on the couch, and you still were not allowed to sit on it.
Yeah, it didn't make sense to me. I got a brand new couch. Okay, cool. We got a new couch. You can't sit on it. It's like, what? So it was a very small house. So I just sat next to the front door. I mean, that's just what I did.
Furniture I can't sit on, plates I can't eat off of, cups I can't drink out of, and pillows that I can't lay my head on. Why? And for the record, since we had our WNBA women be like, men be like topic earlier in the show, that is exclusively a women folk thing.
By the way, Donovan, there are banjos in South Carolina, which is where that was filmed at.
No, it was not.
Sure it was.
No, it was not.
Sure it was.
It absolutely was not.
It was. I don't know why you want to fight. Listen, fam, what you going to do?
Lonzo, I need you to get up out of here with that hoorah. I do not understand the things that exist to not be used. We have in the house that I share with the lady friend, the Casa de Love.
You're already in trouble about not cutting the grass.
She's at work now. I'm clear. I'm good. Unless y'all snitch. We have decorative pillows I'm not allowed to use. They're on the couch, the place that I lay down in the daytime to take a quick little nap, because if I go lay in the bed, I'm just going to sleep.
Is the dog or cat allowed on the decorative pillows?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I was curious about that.
I'm not.
Okay.
People are not. We have pillows on the couch, a napping place that I'm not. If I want to take a nap on the couch, I have to take the pillows off the couch.
Where do you put them?
To then lay down. On the chair. You got to put them
no,
on the chair.
If you're allowed to put them on the floor, then they're not.
It's kind of pointless, right?
Yeah,
nope.
Yeah.
If you want to lay on the couch and rest your sweet little head down for a nap, you have to move the napping apparatuses off the napping surface 2.5. If I want a pillow for a couch nap, and for the record, I do. I'm a 2-pillow guy. If I want a pillow for a nap on the couch, I have to move the pillow, then go to another room to get a pillow, to then bring back to where the pillows were already that had to be moved, to lay the pillow down, to take a nap, to then wake up, move those pillows back to the other pillow room, then go get the original pillows and put into the pillow space where there were just pillows moments ago. I've also said pillows so many times that it's a weird word now.
It was already a strange word. I think it's funny that people are angry about where Deliverance was filmed. I'm glad you know. I'm not.
I've actually whitewater rafted the river.
You got pretty mouth.
That Deliverance was filmed on.
Squeal.
You got pretty teeth. So I am going to make a humble request to you, the ladies of the Rob Brown Show Armada, of which I know there are plenty. Ladies of the Armada, I have a humble request for you. On behalf of men who want to be comfortable everywhere, just let us use the damn decorative pillows, okay? Like, I know they're decorative, but I need you to know, me laying on that pillow doesn't change the decorativeness of the pillow. When I get up, I will make you a compromise here, ladies. On behalf of all men nationwide, if you will just allow us to use the decorative pillow, just don't make me move a pillow to then put a pillow where the pillow was in the pillow space. If you will just allow us to use the decorative pillow so that we don't have to be moving pillows from room to room to room to room when we want a freaking nap, I promise you, on behalf of every man, everywhere, from this day, Monday, June 3rd, 2024, when we use a decorative pillow, when we are done using that pillow, we will fluff it to restore it to its previous decorative glory. If you will just let us use the pillow. Don't make me pick up that pillow, move that pillow, go to another room, get a different pillow, bring that pillow, put that pillow down, then get back up, move that pillow, put that pillow back in the original room, walk back to the other, get the other pillow, move the pillow back. Just let me lay my sweet head down on that pillow. And when I awake, when I arise from my manly slumber, I will fluff that pillow. I will replace that pillow into the original decorative state in which it was, and we can all carry on with our day more happy and satisfied and in love with each other than ever before, because I will be actually rested, and you will have a pillow that is as equally decorative as it was this morning, this evening. Ladies, do we have a deal? All right, y'all, we got to head on out to a break. We're going to come on back here in just 1 minute now, just a dead burn second. We got a few more of them sports stories that we need to get to up on the Rob Brown Radio Show. Atlanta Falcons might be getting some bad news coming up later on today. They got that, what do they call it, tampering? That tamper investigation that's been done going on by old Roger Goodell in the National Football League. We're going to tell you what you about to learn about the Atlanta Falcons coming up in the next segment. It's the Dadgum Rob Brown Show on the Dadgum Fan Upstate, y'all.
You see.
All right, guys, one more, and we're coming back. Y'all stay right there.
I think banjos do get a bad rap probably because of that movie. But if you've ever seen a banjo player in person, it's an amazing how they're able to play that instrument. What was the guy's name on Hee Haw? It's Grandpa something.
On Hee Haw.
Is it Grandpa? I can't remember Grandpa's last name. Now I gotta look it up. Like you never watched Hee Haw. Did you watch Hee Haw in
off and on? Not enough to be able to like be an expert on it.
Jones? It was Grandpa Jones. I was right.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob and the great one, Lonzo. It is 8:40 in the morning on a Monday morning, which means we now welcome into the radio broadcast the young man who covers the Clemson Athletic Department for the Post and Courier. He is John Blau joining us here on the show. John, what's up, big dog? A relatively stress-free baseball weekend for you, big guy.
I mean, 4-3, 4-3. Coastal Carolina comes back, makes it 6-5. I mean, I don't think so. That's not Clemson baseball. But yeah, they did kind of break away a little bit there in the last game, obviously. But yeah, it was the cardiac cats most of the time.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with relatively is doing a lot of the heavy lifting in that statement, and we'll jump into exactly why. We'll go back and kind of walk through the three games. The stress-free part, I guess, is that Clemson will not be playing an elimination game today because they wrapped up their regional in just the three games. First off, before we get into the game-by-game breakdown of the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday games in which Clemson went 3-0, how big, in your opinion, was it that High Point and Coastal did a solid for Clemson in bouncing Vandy before they had to see the Doors, who kind of have been a nuisance for Clemson at home in regionals in recent memory?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we played them a couple times. Vanderbilt bounced them. But this was really a Vandy team that's beat up. Just didn't really seem to be playing that well for High Point and Coastal to take them out, like you said. Didn't have to deal with them, but at the same time, given what we saw from Vandy, I think I would have liked Clemson's chances against them as well. But, Clemson was clearly the better team, I think, just than, the other three in the regional. They have, again, that resilience, that comeback spirit that they've always had. But the pitching that they got from Tristan Smith, Aiden Canuck, to see the bullpen come through and some of the ways we saw the bullpen come through. Obviously, we didn't get to see the Tim Corbin versus Eric Bakich storyline play out, but I would have liked their chances if they had played them.
I looked at this regional, and obviously, I mean, how much the narrative was parroted. 5 consecutive regionals hosted, 5 consecutive eliminations for Clemson. I mean, the noise around this regional, the noise of doubt, frankly, John, that this team, I can't imagine there's a way they did not hear that narrative being parroted. Every time I turned on the ACC network this weekend and they talked about Clemson, they brought it up. Every time I got on social media and saw people breaking this regional down, they brought it up. For this team to be able to kind of put that in the back pocket and either ignore it or overcome it or whatever they did, how big was it for them to be able to ignore that noise and just stay dialed in on winning a regional that, yeah, they came in as the favorite, but the Doors again. Coastal had the narrative of playing for their head coach in his last season, etc. How big was it for Clemson to be able to kind of ignore all that noise and stay dialed in this regional?
Yeah, this is just the next step for Coach Bakich and his program. Obviously, got them back to the NCAA tournament after back-to-back seasons, not making it, but got bounced by Tennessee last year. Red hot, and all of a sudden just crashed at the end of the year. And so if they had ended another season with another regional loss, and again, like you said, the streak going all the way back to 2010, that's all anybody wants to talk about, so they can't win regionals. that would have been a really, really sour taste in their mouth for another offseason for, another year going into next season. So to get that taken care of, that they no longer have this, 14-year streak of not being able to advance out of regionals, that's absolutely huge. And it puts them one step away from what they've been talking about for a couple of years since Beckich got here, which is Omaha's the goal. And they've been unabashed about saying that. Now you've just got one more series against one more team to try to get you there. So, yeah, absolutely huge. I know, again, coming into the series, Coach Beckich was talking about how, the people keep bringing up 2010. Well, those are Gamecock fans. those aren't Clemson fans. Those are South Carolina fans. Took a little shot at the rival fan base there. But, yeah, obviously those Gamecock fans won't have much to say for a while because Clemson got it done.
They did, and South Carolina did not. That is going to be a storyline that plays out over in Columbia for this offseason, no doubt. So let's take a look at this thing game by game. You go back to game one, a game in which Clemson trailed until we had a little walk-off. And then the narrative suddenly switched, John Blau, from 5 failed hosted regionals to this team's 917th come from behind victory this season. So for them to kind of to bring that same energy, that same momentum into this game, the highest stakes game that they had played in all year, to bring that momentum in and be able to get that done again, to me, it just kind of felt like the tone was set in a walk-off from Tristan Becerra in game number 1.
Yeah, and just to be very specific, 25 comeback wins. I know you're being hyperbolic there, but
a little bit.
Obviously, a very impressive number nonetheless for Clemson. The number of times they've come back, it's just like you almost expected. I saw multiple tweets from people, and I don't know if I did as well, just saying well, it's a Clemson baseball game. They're behind, so this is what they do. Obviously, not being able to produce offensively the way they were in that game against High Point, to not be able to really string together hits was concerning. But Tristan Smith had one of his best outings we've seen from him in a really long time. To be able to get 5-6 innings into a game, he has not been able to do that in a really long time. So to see him do that, to see Jacob McGovern come out, the freshman from Seneca, come out and get an out with 2 on, 2 out in the 8th inning with the game tied. Or am I thinking that's Coastal Carolina the next day? My brain's scattered. But that High Point game again. Seeing the bullpen. I think it was Lucas Malstead that game. And then, like you said, Tristan Becerra comes in offensively, gets the hit, gets the Gatorade water bottle showers. Coach Beckich is even pouring more water on him. During the post-game press conference, that was huge. To obviously get a win, not be in the losers bracket. It's really hard to come back if you end up in the losers bracket, to stay in the winners bracket, and kind of, obviously again set up a situation where they can win a couple games and clinch the regional. That's what they did.
Game number 2, you catch Coastal. Talked a little bit about this. There are things that play into the regional. And I've said, John Blau, I honestly believe college baseball is the best postseason in American sports. You got narratives that come from all parts of the country and every level of college baseball. Obviously, Coastal Carolina had a narrative. We're playing for our coach. He's leaving. He's been a huge part of building this into a nationally recognized program, et cetera. And yet another game where Clemson came in, didn't pay attention to the noise. Cam Canarella hit the sac fly in the 9th inning to get the go-ahead run. So not the come-from-behind victory, but you got the go-ahead in the bottom of the 9th. Like, clutch moments kind of sprinkled throughout the first 2 games. Game 2, no different than game 1.
Yeah, again, I jumped ahead there with Jacob McGovern. I remember that, which is a really, really huge out. I wrote about him coming into the weekend, so that was kind of cool to see him get that. But yeah, Coastal Carolina battled. They had a couple of obviously hits that Clemson would go out to a lead, and the Coastal Carolina would tie it right back up. And the fact that they were in that game, like you said, the narratives in terms of this, the team is obviously playing for their coach, wants to keep his career going as long as possible. And for Clemson to be able to eventually kind of break out and break away and get just enough to be able to get a win there and put them in a position that they could just wait forever the winner of that High Point Coastal game was absolutely pivotal. And Clemson just has a mentality. It seems like that they're comfortable in these close games. Coach Baggage talked about in the post-game press conference, they played so many of these comeback games, so many of these close games, and won so many of these games that they don't freak out. They play mentally free and loose. We saw that in that first Coastal game. Jacob Hinderleiter literally backhand flipping, no look with his glove at the second base for a really unorthodox double play. Jeremy Purify chasing somebody down who is between bags, first and second base. They just make plays, and they don't stress out. They kind of focus on what they need to do. They get it done. That's what they were able to do in that game, and then obviously set up the second one against Coastal to clinch the series.
And in that next game, I mean, the bats get hot for Clemson. The pitching is excellent for Clemson. It kind of felt to me, and I know baseball is weird. You can look like a championship team one day and completely the opposite the next. But watching that game yesterday, the 12-5 win over Coastal, John Blau, that team had a championship caliber vibe to me.
Yeah, and they put up a run every single inning. Obviously, if you go back and you want to nitpick, I mean, Clemson, they had some bases loaded opportunities, some more opportunities to pour on some more runs than the 6 that they poured on in the first few innings. But for them, again, to withstand that rally by Coastal, where they got back-to-back homers at 6-5, a lot of teams would crumble there to the momentum that Coastal created. But for Austin Gordon to come in, to close the door there, for them to come back in the bottom of the eighth and get 6 runs, just absolutely pour it on. Obviously, Doug Kingsmore Stadium was electric. Backage talked about it after the game. Just the energy in the stadium, everyone felt it. It was almost like a rock concert at one point when Coastal was changing all their pitchers and everybody's got their cell phone lights up. It's like a concert. It was an electric atmosphere, and they absolutely fed off of it. Then after the game, Backage and his players are climbing the right field fence and getting a beer shower. So it was everything they needed, everything they wanted, and obviously not completely satisfied because they want to get to Omaha. But it was a great way to close out the regional for them in style.
I do want to say there's a picture of Backage hanging off of the fence, hand up in the air, and the victory acknowledgement to the fans. And I don't necessarily need a take on this, John, but like if I'm Backage, I'm printing that on like a 12 by 12 frame. Like, I mean 12 by 12 feet and putting it in the office wall. You could feel the energy coming off of that baseball team through the television, how much getting that regional win mattered to them, the juice they were bringing. And oh, by the way, they're not done because now they sit and wait for the winner of the Florida-Oklahoma State regional to find out who they'll take on in the Super. Have you got an opportunity to look at those two teams? What are your thoughts on Clemson now moving into the Super regional overall?
Yeah, not much of a chance. Last night went a little late just because, again, all the beer showering and all the time talking to Coach Gilmore and then Backage and all of that. But, I mean, obvious storyline. And, again, the obvious storyline coming in was Vanderbilt and Tim Corbin and Backage, and they never played them. But there's a chance here, if Florida wins, that Kevin O'Sullivan, the former Clemson assistant, also overlapped with Eric Backage on that 2002 staff with Jack Leggett. They have a chance to come here and play Clemson. And obviously Florida is an immensely talented team. It was kind of controversial that they even got into the NCAA tournament because their record was so bad, but obviously they play a really good schedule. They're showing that they're talented the way they're playing in that regional, fighting and getting a chance to play a kind of winner-take-all game against Oklahoma State, the host. And so it'll be interesting either way. Oklahoma State, obviously a very good team, started off 2-0 in that regional. But lost the game, obviously, to Florida. But then, again, Florida, hasn't had a great year, but there's a reason that they're competitive right now in these games, and they'd be absolutely dangerous if they got through that regional.
John Blau covers the Clemson Tiger Athletic Department for the Post and Courier. He joins us every single Monday at 8:40 to talk Clemson sports. The next time John and I get together on the show, Clemson will either be heading to Omaha or not. John, my man, appreciate the time as always, big dog. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, Rob.
You got it. John Blau from the Posting Courier, again every Monday at 8:40 on the show. We're about to be real interesting moving forward with him because we're either going to be talking Omaha next Monday or we're going to be talking disappointment next Monday. We'll find out. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. All of that after Lonzo wows you with this Sports Flash.
Yep. The Stanley Cup Finals are set with the Edmonton Oilers out of the West meeting the Florida Panthers from the East. Florida eliminated the New York Rangers with a 2-1 win Saturday evening. The Edmonton Oilers dropped the Dallas Stars 2-1 with Connor McDavid and Zach Hyman both notching power play goals. Game 1 of the Cup Finals is Saturday. The NFL is expected to drop a decision on tampering cases around the Atlanta Falcons and Philadelphia Eagles this week. According to reports, the Falcons' interactions with Kirk Cousins and the Eagles with Saquon Barkley have both been under investigation. The Miami Dolphins forfeited their first-round pick in 2023 for tampering with Tom Brady and Sean Payton. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, and a whole lot of fun. And you know what? It's amazing because it's all Wire to Wire. It's a good call. Take an alternate route. I am Bill Brooks.
Insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou. 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider is
Rob Brown Show, what do you want to talk about?
Think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million
Hey, Stephen.
affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big
All right,
Lou's
hang on,
like
Stephen.
you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
Forget the ties and socks. What Dad really wants is the Upstate Golf Cart. 18 holes at 7 of the top courses in the Upstate. And now until Father's Day, the Upstate Golf Cart is on sale. That's right. Grab 2 for just $125. Head over to upstategolfcart.com today. That's upstategolfcart.com.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Granger supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his team never misses a beat. Call at Granger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Jake from State Farm. I'm winning. I finally cleaned my house, so I'm bringing out my new tropical room spray.
Keep winning and create an affordable price just for you by bundling your home and auto with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It's like your own personal paradise.
Ooh, hey, grab me a coconut water.
Bundling, just another way to save with a personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices are based on rating plans and vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
WOID Summer. WFBC HD3, the official sports voice of the Upstate family.
Upstate.
Pharmacy Sports Nation.
And check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real.
Yeah. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show. Get Rob.
Good morning. Good morning.
Here we go.
Good morning.
Yeah, no, we got it.
Good morning.
The final hour of the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate starts right Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Robin the Great One, Lonzo with you. Spectacular to have you as always. We're bouncing around the world of sports today. We'll talk a little more Major League Baseball today. The Braves actually win a series. That's a nice little change of pace for Atlanta. Granted, it's against the Oakland Athletics.
It's not a change of pace. It's what they do. They have a winning record.
It's not. They lost the last 2 in a row before that one.
They win. I don't know. I don't believe your panic.
Okay. Doesn't make it not real. But it is what it is. We'll talk more about that coming up later in the show. I got a few other things I'm going to get to, including the Atlanta Falcons story, the decision regarding the investigation into allegations of tampering that were brought about by Kirky accidentally saying something he shouldn't have said.
I got to find someone saying cringe because that is cringe every time you say Kirky.
I mean, the Falcons fans came up in here and did it. It wasn't me. I was anti it until the Falcons fans started latching on to Kirky. So Captain Kirky it is.
Please stop.
Talk about that coming up, as well as the ever-increasing belief that the 18-game NFL schedule is coming down the pipe. We'll get to that later on in the radio broadcast. Maybe talk some college football, a couple of weird stories I want to get into, including Mike Tyson's gotten knocked out. So there's that. Talk about that and more. Steven has been kind enough to hang on the phone line, though. Let's get Steven in here real quick before we get into the sports stories of the final hour. Steven, welcome to the show, fella. Good to have you.
Good morning, Rob. I just wanted to say what an interview. Great job. That was wonderful. And I appreciate you having a Clemson guy on here. And he does great every single week. And we really appreciate that.
Absolutely, bud.
But also, you kind of threw the throw pillow thing out there right before you went to him, and I don't think you let it breathe long enough. I'm well versed in the throw pillow gymnastics that go on daily at my house. Take the pillows off, put the pillows on, don't lay on the pillows. After 20 years of marriage, I feel like I can speak on this and say, Rob, don't lay on the pillows.
You know, I got to tell you, I
Wait. In the great words of Swerve Strickland, whose house? I mean,
her house.
Okay. All right. Come on, guys.
Steven,
come on.
Let me go with this, Steven. I don't lay on the pillows. Let me be abundantly clear. Mama didn't raise no fool. All right. I don't lay on the pillows. What I absolutely do is that every time that I do want to lay on, genuinely pick any surface. My bed, the couch, the guest bed. Hell, there are decorative pillows on my couch in the bro cave. I don't want them there, Steven, but there they are nonetheless. And even in my own bro cave, when I go to lay on the couch and there's decorative pillows in there, I move them every time, but I am going to... Steven, every single time I have to move pillows to then move pillows to lay down on a pillow. I'm out here trying to connect the gap, to cross the bridge between the decorative pillow people and the every pillow's a pillow people. I feel like there's a trade, there's a compromise somewhere, and I'm trying to make the world a better place, Steven.
Well, trust me, Rob, when I say that I have a king-size bed, and we started with 2 decorative pillows, and I think now we're up to 8. So as the years go by in your marriage, you will find that the decorative pillow numbers grow as well. When you have some type of anniversary, 1 pillow gets added.
Can I ask you a genuine question here? And I don't need it to be like TMI or anything like that, but like sincere question. How many people see the decorative pillows that aren't you and your better half?
That's exactly my point, and I have been fighting that for 20 years, and every morning I pick the pillows up as I make the bed and put the pillows back onto the bed that nobody sees besides Shiana.
Okay, and that's my thing, and I've told her this before. I'm like, all right, so now in fairness, we've only been we've been engaged over a year now. We get married in September. We're not married yet. We have, I think, 3 that go on the bed right now. There's like 2 that sit in front of our sleeping pillows, and then there's like a long one that goes in front of the pillows. And when it's night time, for some reason, I have to go in there and I've got to move the big pillow, and it's got its spot over here out of the way. And then I gotta flip because the decorative pillow's got to be moved back to bring the sleeping pillow. And I got to do that on both sides of the bed every night. And then I got to reset them the next day. And I'm like, you realize no one has seen our bedroom but us in a year and a half. Why? Why are we doing? Well, I like them. Why, Steven? I don't get it.
I don't get it either, bro. But after 20 years, as I said, I made the mistake a couple of times of laying my head on the decorative pillows.
Oh, the audacity!
And I was, it was not a good time in the Webb house. I was flogged repeatedly, and so therefore, I just wanted to give you some wisdom and say, don't fight the throw pillow thing. It's not worth it. There's other things that you can fight for. But the throw pillow, just let her have it. It's not going to change.
What, Steven? Wait. What happens? What happens if there's like spontaneous adult recreation activities time? Like, do you have to stop the proceedings to move the pillows out of the way first? Or is it like a we work around them kind of situation? How's that play out?
Absolutely. And to top that off, you have to move the throw pillows and you have to pull the comforter back.
Stephen, thank you for sharing the intimate details of your pillow fight throughout your marriage. I want you to know, my man, you are not alone, bud. We just need a support group at this point.
Absolutely. Hey, Rob, Joe, thank you so much for all the content. Love the show. Daily stream listener, and keep up the good work.
Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you very much. Steven checking in. I think that's like that's my big thing is
are not alone.
You're not. Like, I think this is the thing. Again, we are only on 3 pillows, like 3 decorative pillows right now, right? We got the 2 that go in front of the sleeping pillows, and then we got the long pillow that is like the star of the show.
Here's the way to solve this, Rob. You won't do it, but here's the way to solve it. Bring in your own decorative pillows. Now Star Wars is a decorative pillow. Bring in, maybe a God of War pillow. Perhaps maybe, I don't know, a Scarface pillow. I mean, just start. They make all those, by the way. And they look very decorative. They look very nice. They're fancy pillows. Make sure they're weighted. So, I mean, because all decorative pillows have weight to them for some reason. So you can be hit with them, I guess. But you bring in your own deck. Why does she get to decide what's decorative?
Okay.
Because you can bring your own pillows in.
I can answer this. All right. I can answer this. And before I go any further, I would like to take just a moment here to say I sincerely, truly love my fiance. She is my favorite person I've ever met. I like her more than Lonzo, and I like Lonzo a lot.
I am offended by the man cave decorative pillows. That's too far. That's just too far.
Let me tell you why these things exist, and I actually have a good reason. I love my fiance. She's amazing. I would trade nothing for her. All right. This is not I'm trapped in a. I'm not. It is an incredible relationship to be in. But there is a reason that I don't have. I don't have the decorative pillows. All right. Literally, the Madre has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on her bed right now. That's too many. It's unnecessary.
I don't know if the one in the front matches. I'm just saying.
Dang, Rhonda getting taken down.
I'm just saying. Everything else looks good. The one in the front is just like an extra because she already bought it and she's like, I'm just putting it there. I mean,
the fiance and I, when I moved in, we had this thing where I was like, look, it is your house, right? I don't want to come up and change everything. But she, when I moved in with her, was like, listen, we're going to redecorate the house. We are going to redecorate the house. I want it to be decorated the way that we want it. And there are elements, like there are spots you can see that I'm there. For instance, when I moved in, it was all like pictures of plants and flowers. And now if you come in our living room, we have guitars and posters from concerts we've been to together. That's our main decoration in the living room. Like, I live there, right? But
wait. See, this we all saw what your apartment looked like before. And there were pictures of flowers. And so grandma's house. Grandma's house was the thing.
Stop, you're wrong. There were pictures of sailing ships that were hanging on the wall that were grandma's house. All right. But now so we both have an acoustic guitar. They hang on the wall together. It's like our little two together guitars. And then we have posters from the concerts we've been to. But I've also told her that like 99% of the time, I don't care. Pick whatever you want. So we went to Target one day because we're going to get new decorative pillows for the couch. And I'm like, I don't need them. I don't want them. I don't care about them. And so she picked it. She got what she wanted because I don't care. And I even let her put the decorative pillows on the couch in the bro cave, not because I'm against them, but because they're a comfort thing for her. And I like when she hangs out with me in the bro cave. She comes in there, she hangs out, and she does her work while I'm watching sports or whatever.
Wait. So does she actually lay on the decorative pillows?
She does not. She uses she'll put one under her arm.
That's still technically
right?
That's still.
They're definitely getting used.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But only the bro cave, not on the regular couch.
That seems unfair.
The ones on the regular couch get moved, right? So I want her to have her little comfort spot. And if decorative pillows are the spot, that's fine. So that we're clear, I am not anti-decorative pillow. All right. They're not. I don't care. They don't matter to me. They don't impact me. But if you like them, have them. It is not having the decorative pillows I have an issue with. It is not just not using them. It is making me go out of my way to move the decorative pillows from a laying down and using a pillow portion of the house that I have an issue with. Like, you're not gonna ruin them. They're pillows. That's what they're for.
All right. So I was going to like give you a card with money or something for when you get married, but now I've decided I'm getting you bro decorative pillows, and it's going to be up to you what you're going to do with it. I'm thinking, and I don't know if they have them or not because I keep seeing the Venom trailer, a nice black Venom decorative pillow with the tongue sticking out. I mean, I think that would be amazing. It would be like a coffee table book.
Hang on. Let's be real clear here. You've seen the bro cave. It's 100% Rob Brown. All right. I got a music wall over here. I got a comic book wall over there. I got my football wall over there. I got my TV wall and my video game wall. I got my little bro studio set up. I got a couch because it's my comfortable couch. I got the gaming chair. Like, it is 100% Rob Brown. She is fine with me adding and detracting stuff so that we're clear. I'm not putting a Venom pillow on my bed. All right. I'm not putting a I love Captain America. I'm not putting a Cap Shield pillow on the couch. Would I put it on the Bro Cave couch? Sure, absolutely, 100%. And she won't say no to that. It is not the ownage of the usage of decorative pillows that's the problem. It's that when I get home from work, I leave the house at 4:15 to 4:30 in the morning. When I get home between 12 and 1 most afternoons, I have now done a full day of work, and it is afternoon. I would like a little quick 30-minute, 45, maybe an hour-long nap to like get the juice flowing for the second half of the day. And if I have to, when I get home, I want to drop the book bag on the kitchen table. I want to let the dog out. I want to come back in. I want to fall face first on the couch. I want to put How I Met Your Mother or whatever on the TV. And I want to just crash for 30 minutes. But instead, what has to happen is that I have to walk in. I have to go to the couch. I have to take I think we're on 4 decorative pillows on the couch. I have to move them to the other side of the living room. Then I have to walk to the back to the bedroom to get my regular sleeping pillow off the bed. Then I got to walk back to the living room. Then I got to place it there. Then I can lay down and take a nap. Then when I get up, I got to take the regular sleeping pillow back to the other side of the house to the bedroom, come back to the living room, go to the other side of the living room, pick up the decorative pillows. And you can't just throw them back on the couch. You can't just chunk them back over there. I might even be okay with that. No. You got to fluff them and move them, and then you got to put the right one in the back and the right one in the front, but you got to make sure that the one in the front doesn't cover it so that the sides of the big one are sticking out from behind the sides of the small one. So they're all, nice and, again, decorative. And then you got to do that on both sides, and you got to make sure they're good. And then once they're back, now I got to sit in the middle of the couch for the rest of the day. Nobody wants to sit in the middle of the couch. No psychopath sits in the middle of the couch.
You're killing me with this. I looked it up, by the way, and Kohl's just happens to have a sale on Marvel decorative pillows, including what they call the big one, which is a Black Panther pillow. It's the Black Panther. There's nothing more decorative on a couch than T'Challa. I mean, you put T'Challa in there. That's your centerpiece. You got your fancy pantsy pillows on either side. T'Challa right there in the middle, and that's a good looking couch. That's what that is. That is a great looking couch.
You are missing or ignoring what I'm saying. I don't care about the pillows.
Then why have you complained like for 3 segments?
The functionality, not the look. I don't care if they're red or blue or purple or orange.
This is why you bring in a T'Challa and you use the decorative pillow and you say, here, this is what a pillow's for. Not this fancy stuff that you got on the couch that are basically paintings laying on furniture.
Listen, if I came home today and she had replaced all the decorative pillows with Captain America pillows or Star Wars pillows or whatever you want, but she said the rules of the pillow are still the same. You may not use the pillow. You may not lay your head on the pillow. You may not rest on the pillow. The pillow may not be used. It is only there to be looked at. I would have the same problem that I have today with the flower ones.
Wesley, she brought pillows into the man cave. He has a couch in there. She put decorative pillows in the man. That's what you said.
So that we're clear. I put them in there for her. Okay?
God.
But here is the thing. The decorative pillows in the bro cave are usable. If you come take a nap in the bro cave,
then they're
use
not.
that pillow.
Then they're not decorative pillows.
They are decorative. They are still
by definition. They're just pillows.
I have a gold couch. It's fabric. It's not like leather. Like a gold couch.
Yeah, we all know 1%er. Thanks.
It's not actual gold. I am not the 45th president of the United States. It's just a gold fabric
or
couch.
any of them. They're all rich. Yeah.
It's a gold leather, and then I have matching like beigeish pillows that match the couch in there for her. I put them there, but if I go nap in the bro cave, I'm using the damn pillow. It is not the appearance of decorative pillows that is the crux of this conversation. It is the functionality and the rules that are surrounding the pillow. That's the issue.
Quit worrying about Ray, people. We already established he dead.
Ray's definitely dead. If Ray was still alive, this segment killed him. But I think in order to continue the, let's say, relations between men and women, I, Rob Brown, the doctor of love, is here to help.
That's Gene Simmons. That's not you.
Dr. Love, they call me love. Acting like the consequences of just using the pillow are that serious. What can she possibly do except say, hey, that's my decorative pillow. That's a single man. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Up Say Sports next.
No, the toilet's platinum. I mean, you know.
No, his toilet's literally gold.
No. We're talking about you. Yeah. By the way, if you have a gold toilet and you can afford it, good for you.
Toilet.
The problem is, I don't know how functional that is.
I absolutely.
And how is it clean? I mean, well, you got people, but still.
I absolutely judge people who have the money to make dumb decisions and do. Like the people who are currently ordering in New York City. This is true. Deck showed it to me. There is a pizzeria in New York that is selling a $2,000 14-inch pizza. And it is $2,000 because they sprinkle it in gold leaf.
Yeah, I've seen some meals like that
There was a
sprinkled
place in
gold.
Vegas that was doing it with chicken wings,
I mean, why not? We got plastic in our testicles. Why not gold in our stomach? I mean, you know.
If you are spending $2,000 on a pizza so that you can literally beep gold later, I don't like you as a person.
I do, and I would love to be invited to your house.
You spend that money on a car, I like you as a person. You spend it on a boat, I like you as a person.
What if
you
they
spend
have
it
all
on
those
an indoor
already?
golf simulator, I want to be your friend. You spend it on eating gold leaf, and I don't like you.
Gold leaf, isn't that what they make tea out of? Gold leaf tea. It's just so tasty.
What is it, Milo's?
Milo's.
$130 bottle of Goldschlager beats that. Now, I used to, very used to, go ham on Goldschlager. You know how everybody has, Lonzo doesn't, so I'll save it before he has to imply that he doesn't. You know how everybody who drinks has that one drink that they can't drink no more because they had that one night with that drink? That's Goldschlager for me. A fraternity brother and I once at our old frat house, well after we had graduated for a homecoming weekend, both together polished a handle of Goldschlager. That was the night that I woke up the next morning on a mattress in the front yard of the fraternity house. Had no idea why. And then was told that. So I was a member of Tau Kappa Epsilon, and you call seniority by calling scroll, because when you join the fraternity, you sign your name on a scroll at that chapter. And if your number is higher than another brother's number, you can scroll them, which is saying, I'm calling seniority on you. And apparently I walked into the bedroom of one of the active brothers at a fraternity, grabbed their mattress, yelled scroll at them, dragged their mattress out into the courtyard of the fraternity house, and decided that's where I was going to sleep.
That's the story they're going with. When actually what happened is he passed out and they just put him on the mattress and took it out there.
No, if you passed out in our frat house, you had way worse than we put you to sleep on a mattress. If you fell asleep in our frat house with your shoes still on, you would regret the next day. It is expected in the National Football League that the results of and discipline from the tampering cases of the Atlanta Falcons and the Philadelphia Eagles are likely to drop down this week. It was reported by Pro Football Talk and Adam Schefter that, quote, a resolution in the alleged free agent tampering cases of the Atlanta Falcons and Philadelphia Phillies are likely to come this week per league sources. We have not gotten a statement from the NFL itself about it yet. So we have two different cases that are on the table here. As to the Falcons, Kirky, who has been doing his darndest to try to downplay the situation lately, during his introductory press conference with the Atlanta Falcons, insinuated that he had a conversation with staff members leading up to his signing of a contract. For the Eagles, the tampering investigation was sparked by a secondhand remark from Penn State coach James Franklin, who said that the Eagles GM Howie Roseman sold running back Saquon Barkley on jumping from the Giants by pointing to the number of Nittany Lions loyalists in the Philly fan base. Now, Saquon Barkley has not acknowledged that he had spoken directly with Roseman or anyone else during the 52-hour negotiating window that strictly prohibits direct contact between team and player. So the question mark is here, what is going to happen? Because with Atlanta, if the accusations are true, staff members from the Dirty Dirty Birds actually reached out, actually spoke with Kirky. And that is a no-go. Can't do that. Versus Saquon Barkley and Philly, where no one reached out to Saquon Barkley unless Howie Roseman did. If Howie Roseman did indeed directly contact Saquon Barkley, then they would have an issue. We know that not too terribly long ago, the Miami Dolphins got hammered. Why did they get hammered? Well, because at the time that one Tommy Goat Brady was going into free agency, the Miami Dolphins, reached out and had a conversation with him. They also had a conversation with then not but still head coach of the New Orleans Saints, Sean Payton. And they had a conversation with both where they were basically trying to play each other to each other. Hey, Sean, if you'll come to sunny South Florida, we'll go get you the GOAT. We'll go get Tommy Wayne Christopher the GOAT Brady to come down here. Hey, Tommy boy, if you will come down to sunny South Florida, we'll go get you the guy who got Drew Brees his Super Bowl, and we'll let him get you another one here in Miami. The NFL, you will recall, took a first-round draft pick away from the Miami Dolphins that year. Now, this circles me back to two things. Number one, what's going to happen to Atlanta? I don't know because Kirk's story was obviously a quick one-line anecdote that was dropped in a press conference, probably without thought as to what might happen for telling said story. And number two, because we don't know what actually happened. We don't know if he had a conversation with the training staff. If I recall correctly, it was the head trainer that he said that he had a conversation with about how great it was to play in the ATL, to be a dirty bird, to play in the dirty dirty. If that happened, and that was direct contact between Kirky and a staff member, then yeah, Atlanta's probably going to get hammered. James Franklin said that Saquon Barkley said that he had a conversation with Saquon Barkley, Penn Stater, about how the Eagles fan base had a large crossover with the Nittany Lions fan base, which means that Saquon Barkley, a Nittany Lion alum, would fit in great. The Eagles would love you, bro. You're a Nittany Lion and an Eagle. They're gonna totally adore you, my guy. But I think that one might be a harder conversation to prove, right? I think you would have to probably get James Franklin to prove that Saquon Barkley said what James Franklin alleged that he said. And you and I both know James Franklin is going to go to bat for a former Nittany Lioner, right? He's not going to go to the NFL and go oh, yeah, no, for sure. He said it, and here's the text message, date and time stamped with it. But the Kirky situation, I think, is one that'll probably be a little easier to prove, right? Because not only is Kirk on the staff, but the staff members are on the staff. It'd be a little easier to prove. Could be not. I don't know. We'll find out. If it is proven that the Atlanta Falcons did indeed tamper, and even if it was one guy that had a quick text message exchange with Kirky, they're going to get hammered and they're going to lose a first-round pick. And I would like to flash you back, ladies and gentlemen, to just a handful of weeks ago when the 2024 National Football League draft rolled around. When the 2024 National Football League draft rolled around, the Atlanta Falcons selected with the 8th overall pick in the 2024 NFL draft, Michael Penix Jr., quarterback, University of Washington. And some of y'all lost y'all damn minds about it. Oh, Rob, this is malfeasance. This is unacceptable. This is workplace badness is what this is, Rob Brown. And I said, yo, hold your cotton picking horses for just 1 second, please, and thank you. I said, let's really look at this. You got a quarterback in Kirk Cousins who is closer to 40 than he is 35. Well, he is 35, but closer to 40 than he is 30. You got a quarterback in Kirk Cousins.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, but that's right in the middle.
It is, although technically the day that you turn 35 in one day, you're closer to 40 than you are 30.
Okay, that's correct.
Yeah, I know. Technically correct is the best kind of correct. It's also the most annoying type of correct. You know me. So you got a quarterback who is closer to 40 than 30. You got a quarterback who is coming off of a catastrophic injury from last year. A quarterback that you don't know if he'll be able to finish a full season healthy.
Who before the injury was having one of the best seasons of his life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you have no idea if he'll be able to replicate that. You have no idea if he'll be able to replicate that without Jordan Jefferson, who, by the way, just got very rich.
Yeah, I know people want me to break news on this, but his quarterback is J.J. McCarthy. I mean, who's going to throw him the ball? There's going to be a lot of handoffs, and that's it.
40-year, $140 million contract for Jordan Jefferson with the Minnesota Vikings.
To just block and be a decoy. Good for you.
Now, I mean, he's good enough that JJ can just like bleep it. The other JJ's down there somewhere. We'll come to that in a minute. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what is going to happen with Kirk Cousins. And you think you're going to be good this year, right? The Falcons are now officially the odds-on favorites to win the NFC South. They're like plus 125 to win the division. Everybody else, including the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, are chasing them down. So you think you're going to be good coming into this year, but you also think you're going to be good coming into this year, or at least compete and win the division good, with a good young core that's locked in for a hot minute. So I said back then, why not draft your guy now? Because if you play your cards right, and Kirky is healthy all year, you ain't picking 8th next year, are you? You're probably picking at the worst like 17, 18. I got news for you. There's no first round probable franchise draft picks available at 16, 17. And it's not like the Atlanta Falcons have any more capital than anybody else to put together a blockbuster if Kirky does go down and they need a new guy next year. But then I said back then, there's one more factor to this. The one more factor to this is, let's say you play great ball next year and you're drafted late, no franchise quarterback. But let's say, I do not want this to happen so that we're clear. Let's say Kirky's Achilles pops again in week 1. And let's say the Falcons stink. And let's say the Falcons go 4-13 this year. I had to do the math to get to 17. That was real bad. Let's say they go 4-13 this year. You may not have a draft pick next year anyway because of Kirky and the tampering investigation. So if you end up in a spot where you firmly believe, and I do, that Atlanta may actually not have a first-round draft pick next year, and they got to replace Kirky, you got to get your franchise guy now. And at 8, a kid who had guided his team to the Natty last year, is not a bad pick. This is why Atlanta did what they did. Let's take a break. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Kirk Sagan should be in the NFL Hall of Fame. You are not incorrect.
Just sent you something on Twitter that might give you some perspective.
I like perspective.
I didn't say what kind of perspective, though.
Perspective is good perspective.
Or condo and save with Progressive. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders, that's the Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
So here's the discussion that I had with somebody.
So you're ignoring the video?
No, I'm not. I'm rubbing my eyes because they're killing me right now because I didn't take my contacts out last night. If somebody gives a performance review and your performance review is graded on a scale from 1 to 10, and then the boss says to you, we don't give out 10s because no one is perfect. Do you have a problem with that? I have a massive problem with that.
Because the scale is a lie, then, because if you don't give out
so
10,
scale's not 1 to 10,
so
scale's
it's
1 to 9.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I do.
I didn't want this perspective.
By the way, I would get a 10. So, I mean,
The person I was speaking
except for the fact I'm going to be in trouble today, so maybe not.
The person I was speaking with was talking about their performance review. And they said, my boss looked me in the face and said, do not expect a 10. We don't give out a 10. 10 is if you do everything perfect, and no one does everything perfect. And the argument was you should not be graded on a scale of perfection. You should be graded on a scale of effectiveness.
If the points lead to percentages of raise, then I really have a problem with it.
Correct.
Yeah. But I'm guessing anything above a 7, you're probably getting a raise. So, I mean.
Last segment of the day, ladies and gentlemen. If you have missed any of the 4 most electrifying hours in sports talk entertainment, well, I have wonderful news for you. You can go to one of 2 destinations. The first is the Odyssey app on your digital device. Do me a massive solid, bro. Go to your app store, get the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Grab the Odyssey app, put the Odyssey app on your telephone or your tablet or your PC or whatever you're using, digital device of your choice, and search and subscribe to The Fan Upstate. Once you do that, you click the little heart icon, and every time you open that app, it'll take you right to The Fan Upstate. And you can use the Odyssey Rewind feature on the Odyssey app to go back and listen to any of the show that you're listening to, but you want to listen to it like before that you're listening to it. Use the Odyssey Rewind app on the Odyssey app. And then,
by the way, real quick on that, and you will find wonderful titles. Like my favorite title today is Decorative Pillows and Deliverance. So you could click on Decorative Pillows and Deliverance and get to hear the whole segment about Decorative Pillows and Deliverance.
It was a very important segment that we did today.
I starred it. I can star the ones that the one segment of the day that I think is spectacular.
Oh, that was it.
That's the one. Yeah, that should go nationwide.
So go grab the Odyssey app. Click the heart icon next to the Fan Upstate, and you can listen to Odyssey Rewind. Or if maybe you're, out and about or whatever, you can go to thefanupstate.com on the mobile browser of your choice. At the top of that website, there is a button that says podcast. You click on that, you drop it down to the Rob Brown Show, and you can go back and listen to any hour on demand within 5 minutes of the end of the hour. Lonzo, the great one, post those hours edited down for your entertainment. You can go pull them and listen to them as you wish. And I'll do you maybe even one better. You can go to iTunes. You can go to Spotify. Wherever your podcasts are found, just search for The Rob Brown Show. And our podcasts get put right there. So you can add us on Spotify at The Rob Brown Show. Just go search it. Find my beautiful shining face. Click on the plus button. You can follow us. And every time we drop a new segment, have it delivered right to your phone. We make your life easy. And you are, and this is true, very, very welcome. And better off for it, if we're being honest here. Texture says, I learned this weekend that Rob Brown knows nothing about college baseball. That, my dear, dear friend, is entirely untrue. What you learned yesterday is that sometimes Rob Brown puts down long shot bets just for the lulls. If you are talking about what I think you were talking about. I think what you're talking about is yesterday when I sent out the tweet that said I was playing a 3-leg South Carolina State baseball parlay. I went with Clemson -2.5. I went with South Carolina -2.5. And I went with Wofford +2.5 as a 3-leg parlay. My Clemson leg cashed. South Carolina outright lost to the James Madison Dukes. And yes, Carolina fans, I was embarrassed for you yesterday. I was embarrassed by the decision-making. I was embarrassed by the lack of execution. You had good pitching. You had a decent performance off the bump, which has been a problem. And in the one game where you needed the bats to be great, the bats were bad, real bad. They were real bad. And then the Wofford bet. Listen, I didn't think, all due respect to our friends, the Terriers. LSU's the defending champs for a reason. They have got sluggers over there. They've got sluggers that have just been smoking chumps left, right, front, and center. Okay? Just smoking chumps. I didn't think Wofford was going to win that game. What I did think was that the LSU Tigers, for whatever reason, man, if there's a team that loves playing comeback baseball more than the Clemson Tigers, it's LSU. I go back to the SEC tournament when they took on and defeated the Gamecocks not once, but twice. And in both games, South Carolina had big leads, like 6+ run leads in those two games. So my thought there was, you know what? I'm just going to run it up that maybe LSU plays one more like that. They play one more, walk it off. I said it was a long shot bet. That bet was like 7.5 to 1, dude. That bet was what my dear friend from the BetQL Network, PJ Glasser, refers to as a narrative bet. Sometimes you don't play a bet because you think it's the correct bet. Sometimes you don't play a bet because the numbers line up in a way that makes you go, oh, okay, statistically speaking, which is how I put most of my bets out there. Sometimes you play a bet because if this bet hits, it creates a great story. There are people out there right now that have bets on Kyrie and the Mavs to have made it to the NBA championship game. Do you think that they made that bet because they looked at the Dallas Mavericks and thought to themselves, hey, yo, that's a quality NBA title team before the year started? Absolutely not. They made that bet because if that bet hits, and this is a dumb way to do it, except for when I do it all the time. If that bet hits, they have a narrative bet. They are banking on the basketball gods giving them a great NBA story. There were people preseason that were betting on Philly to win the East and Denver to win the West. Do you think that's because they really thought that either one of those teams was guaranteed a lock to get there? No. They bet on that because the narrative of Joel Embiid taking on Nikola Jokic in the NBA Finals would be a next level story, right? Would be a next level narrative. And I think that's big. It's a narrative bet. So I went with the South Carolina baseball narrative bet. But I will tell you that overall, I was pretty good about picking games this weekend. I was pretty good about picking games. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be pretty good at picking the super regionals as well. The super regionals that we know of right now. Here's what we've got so far. We know that Clemson is in. We know that Clemson is in by way of winning their regional. They win their regional at home. They are going to get today's winner between Oklahoma State and Florida. I today, in that series, I'm going to go with Florida. A team that, so that we're clear, I still don't think deserve to be here. I think you have to have a balance of a team that can win in the postseason and a team that did win in the regular season. And this team was one game over 500. I know they played a tough schedule. So did a lot of other teams that did not get in. I don't think Florida should be in this postseason. But now that they are slinging. They are slinging right now. So I'm going to go Florida Clemson in the Super Regional. I predicted A&M over Texas. No shock there. Predicted Oregon out of Santa Barbara. That was correct. I predicted North Carolina out of Chapel Hill. But I said LSU could make it a series. They have elimination game today. I predicted Virginia out of the Charlottesville Regional. I did predict Arkansas out of the Fayetteville Regional. I thought the hosts would move on there, but hey, K-State played some great ball. I predicted Florida State out of the Tallahassee Regional, though I did say I thought Alabama would give them a contest. Alabama out of the Southeastern Conference, as I said a couple of times last week, Alabama was putting up as good offensive numbers in the SEC as anybody with the exception of Tennessee. And Tennessee's a major league ball club at this point. All right. They're unfairly talented. But I predicted Florida State to come out of that. I got Duke wrong. I did predict Duke was coming out of the Norman bracket. They got bounced. Predict Tennessee. That's her. I know my college baseball. But I also point out, as we point out every postseason at every level of baseball, postseason baseball is a different breed of cat, my dudes. It is a different breed of cat. It is a different animal entirely. Every now and then, you're going to get a banana slugs team. You're going to get some gauchos that step up and pull an upset. Tennessee is the odds on, and I am going with heavy favorite to win the the SEC title. They were my hands-on favorite. They are my hands-on favorite to win the national championship in a double elimination format for the rest of the ride. Texture says Mark Kingston is pathetic. Yeah, he's going to have a struggle of an offseason because I watched even I think some of the more fervent Kingston defenders this weekend after that collapse where you got zeroed in an elimination game. He's going to have a real long offseason.
And now the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
And now for something completely different. Time for What the X, where I ask Rob, what the X is going on, man?
I don't know. What is going on.
And he will tell us what the X is going on. The first thing that's Xing, is National Egg Day.
National Egg, the EGG Egg Day.
What else did it sound like I said?
I was just making sure.
Okay.
We have some fun on this show about National Whatever Day every now and then. The reason we have fun with them is because I feel like we have too many national blank days. Okay. Like we can scale back. Listen,
I haven't done it in a while, so I'm just saying.
I can't say we all. I love some eggs. All right. Scrambled eggs, fried egg, poached egg, eggs Benedict, classic omelet. I'm a big eggs guy. I'm not celebrating them.
I will, because I love eggs from my head down to my legs. So,
I enjoy eggs. All right. In fact, since it's National Egg Day, I guess maybe I will celebrate. I'm probably going to go home and make myself a nice, light, fluffy three-egg omelet today with maybe some little cut up cube bacon in there. I love eggs.
What is your prep preference for eggs? How do you like your eggs done?
Oh, I make a mean omelet, dude. I make a mean omelet.
You need it to be an omelet. You can't just have eggs straight up.
No, I can have eggs any way you want.
If you're having eggs straight up, what way do you want it?
If I am making the eggs, I'm making a fluffy omelet.
Okay, that's still, you're adding something to it. I'm just talking about just straight up eggs, just eggs by themselves, not eggs with cheese and all the other stuff that you put in an omelet. So do you like it sunny side up? Do you want it poached? Do you want it boiled? Do you want it over easy?
I mean,
do you want it scrambled? I mean,
when you say adding stuff, are you not putting salt and pepper on your eggs?
That's not the, you know what I mean.
I mean, here's what I'm saying.
So you don't eat eggs without.
Did I not literally just say the words, I will eat eggs however they are made, but if I am making them, I'm going three-cheese omelet.
It's not that hard. Do you want it hard-boiled? Do you want it scrambled? Do you want it over easy? Do you want it sunny side up? How do you like your eggs prepared if you just having eggs?
As an omelet.
It's one of those days. All right, the next
Why
thing
would you not make an omelet? All the things you like to make to make scrambled eggs, it's the same as an omelet. You just scramble them instead of letting them fold.
Sometimes it's not hard to just answer a question the way it's given to you.
I will pull that clip and I will remind you of that regularly.
Fine, whatever. Obviously, we don't know how Rob likes his eggs. I tried to help everybody. By the way, thank you, Wesley. I like mine sunny side up. All right, the next thing that's Xing is Conor McGregor.
I saw him dancing around on TV earlier. Who's he going to fight?
So 303 is coming up here pretty soon, but the press conference that was supposed to happen, because it's going to happen in Ireland, has been postponed indefinitely. They're not saying why. There's speculation that it might be because of all the dancing in the clubs, but Dana said he don't care about that. And why should he? I don't know how that affects his, how could he be in a club and when he's in training camp? I mean, when you're done training, you can't, how is dancing not training?
I hope he gets this, but who's he? I don't even know who he's fighting next. Something's like Nate Diaz for no reason.
No, it's not. I knew who it was, but I'm still upset about the egg thing, how you wouldn't answer it and still haven't answered it. So it's just, this is bothering me. No, you didn't.
An omelet is the best way to eat eggs.
Can we just
my favorite way to eat
Can we
eggs.
just go home now?
Mike Tyson can't fight Jake Paul because he can't even beat an ulcer, but yeah, he's going to go in there and put her on a boxing match. Mike Tyson, Jake Paul. You just don't get it, Rob.
Thank you, James. Thank you to everyone who actually knows how to answer a question.
I did answer a question. I like my eggs like in an omelet. You know, a little cheddar cheese, a little sharp cheddar, a little pepper jack in there.
So what you're saying is you don't like eggs?
I love eggs.
Let's go.
What do you think an omelet is?
Go. Yeah, it's a bunch of other stuff.
It's
and
just
eggs
not
are also
scrambled eggs.
Okay, so now I guess scrambled is the answer.
But like unscrambled is an omelet. See y'all tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate later. Yeah. Now I want an omelet. Now I'm going home to make an omelet. That's not true. Now I'm going.
That's funny, Wesley. That's exactly how you would answer it. How do you like your steak prepared? Beef Wellington, please.
I mean, if you're making fun of that, you've clearly never had a great beef.
Hassenpfeffer. How dare you ask me said question? I prepare my eggs the way I want to, with
Correct.
cheese and a bunch of other stuff in it because I don't really like eggs. Take your stodgy, snooty self out of the studio,
I'm going to
please.
make a 4-egg ham and so much
He's
cheese
not.
omelet.
He's not. There's no way that's in his plan. So
Actually, eggs are. I can't have eggs.
Okay.
I can have eggs. I can have 1 teaspoon of butter. So I do the butter on the bottom of the pan, make the omelet. I can have X amount of bacon. So I cut the bacon up, put the bacon in the omelet before you close it so that the bacon melts into the cheese. So it's a cheesy bacon in the middle. Then you fold the omelet, and I can nail the flip. Got it down to a science. Very good at it. Don't forget to move the pillows first. Oh, I won't. Never do. Thanks for being here, guys. You're all spectacular people. Have a lovely rest of your Monday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.